evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a Monday night broadcast here on the Flatout Racing Network, as tonight we bring you coverage of the 2025 Rolling Thunder Gaming Speedway All-Star event. Two events here tonight, the Open Qualifier and the All-Star Race, going to be taking place all here tonight, one race after the other. Three drivers look to qualify their way into the Open to take part in the 67-lap main event here from the Chicagoland Speedway. I'm Seth Cole, being joined by Kyle Matthews. Our broadcast colleague Jessica Shelton will be joining us momentarily. And Kyle, we normally here see these drivers barreling around a super speedway at almost sometimes 200 miles per hour, depending on how good and tight that drafting pack is. But here tonight, speedway racing for Rolling Thunder Gaming, and an entirely different animal because a lot of things we don't necessarily talk about on the super speedway side are prevalent here. One of the biggest things is tire wear.
Yeah, tire wear, and that's going to make handling a big thing as well. And that's something else we don't really talk about on the super speedways. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of strategy here tonight. We see a lot of strategy on super speedways, but this is a different kind of strategy.
Going to have 41 laps here for this All-Star Open, and there are some slight differentials between what the conditions are for the drivers that take part in the All-Star Open in comparison to the drivers that are going to be participating and racing their way into the All-Star Race. For the All-Star Open, the pit frequency will be set to 2x. That means it will be twice the fuel consumption, twice the tire wear. That's what we're used to seeing when we watch the Tally Challenge on Thursday nights. Not 100% certain, with it being a 1.5-mile racetrack, if indeed we would see these drivers have to pit for fuel before the checkered flag. But if indeed that is the case, that could make things interesting in terms of strategy, because more often than not, I've had the pleasure of racing in the Bare Bones Racing Series that ran with this mod on a lot of 1.5-mile speedways, and a lot of times they run green, and a lot of times it comes down to the execution on that pit stop. And this is just a qualifying race here, so you got to think about all of that to be able to transfer into tonight's main event. That seems like an awful lot to have to keep track of here in just a qualifying race.
Yeah, it's going to make that extremely important. And you said, what, 3 drivers will advance out of the Open?
Correct. Top 3 finishers will advance into the next race, the main event here tonight. And if I'm not mistaken, let me just double check on this as well. I believe that we've already had qualifying here for the All-Star Open drivers, which was Lotto Q based. Drivers that transfer into the All-Star race will actually get to, in a sense, choose their fortune in terms of track position, as it will actually be legitimate qualifying for the All-Star race. But that's an interesting point as well, Kyle. Track position, because we already talked about tire wear. Tire heat obviously comes into play, and if you've got that car out in clean air, you're not dealing as much with what we call aero tightness, running in the draft of the car behind you, having that push up off of 2 and 4, having that outside wall get very close to the right side of your race car. For those drivers that are starting mid-pack rear of the field here for this All-Star Open, are we reining it back a little bit here, maybe trying to preserve that right front tire, maybe even planning for potential green flag pit stops to gain us the track position we aren't getting out of the gate?
I think you're going to have to. I mean, I think you're definitely going to have to try to save your tires, but try to move up some as well. So there's a big balance there that these guys are going to be thinking about tonight. And you said the top 3 advance. So it's not a must-win for everybody here. You have a little bit of room to play with too, so that's gonna be helpful for some of these guys.
Yeah, a lot of times when we get down to the end of a race, we're focused on that battle for the victory. But to your point, that battle for third place may be the best one to watch when we draw closer to the end here of the All-Star Open. Nope, he's not cutting out on my end.
No, you're cutting out on my end.
Oh, am I? Oh. Hopefully not. I've not seen anything as far as internet problems with the stream or anything. So hopefully that's not a reoccurring, consistent thing. But just now that you're here, a question for you in terms of this racetrack, because, you and I have called the Speedway All-Star races in the past, and there always seem to be those remote few drivers that do really well in the open and they have a little bit of a precursor of what to expect in the All-Star race, and they show up in that All-Star race as well, up inside of the top 5, top 10, sometimes in the conversation for the race win. Do we see that here tonight with a track like Chicagoland? Might be having connection problems, maybe on Jess's end there. Hopefully we'll get the situation sorted out there. I have not actually gone through to see the official number of drivers that we're going to have here in this All-Star Open, because there are a number of drivers that are already locked into the All-Star race as well that are going to be here in the server spectating, watching what the Open drivers are having to deal with, maybe doing a little bit of homework, maybe a little bit of a cheat sheet here for them in preparation for the All-Star race, in which they are already locked into. We'll go through the official lineup of the drivers that actually are participating in this All-Star Open once they grid up. But another thing that's an interesting thing here, Kyle, is, normally we end up seeing during the course of a race, there's usually a 2-strike system. You cause an incident, you claim it, you drop to the rear of the field, you cause a second incident, then you more than likely have to park. Here in both the Open and the All-Star race, it is a cause 1 incident and your night is over. So a lot more emphasis put on green flag racing here tonight. There's very little room for error for these drivers and their chances not only of advancing into the All-Star race, but making it to the checkered flag if they do indeed transfer to the main event.
You're going to have to find that balance of being aggressive but not being reckless at the same time. It's, wow, I've never heard the rules being that strict before for anything, so yeah, that's going to make things really interesting.
Definitely is. One of the things we'll be talking about for the trouble spot here at Chicagoland, I know people are thinking, well, it's one of your cookie cutter mile-and-a-half racetracks like a Kansas. What could you possibly run into for an issue here? Biggest areas over in turns 3 to 4. In turn 3, on the entrance to turn 3, there is actually a dip down in terms of elevation. A lot of drivers refer to it as the bump. That will unsettle the race car on the entry to turn 3, will cause it to either push up if it gets tight, or push it down with the nose towards the apron if the car gets loose. It really all depends on where your lifting point is going into the third corner, and then how soon you get back to the throttle through the center of 3 and 4 will determine whether or not, based off of how much heat you've built up in that right front, you might tank slap the wall. I was watching a couple of these drivers here in practice, and of course a lot of them were probably out there hot lapping, trying to see what a good qualifying run would look like or something like that, and a lot of them were brushing that outside wall. Might make things a little bit edgy if drivers decide to go double wide there coming off that final corner.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Now that I am here and I am back, so you're talking about the dip. I heard that. I heard about them trying to do hot laps and whatnot. So, have you covered if they are going to have to make multiple pit stops? Is it going to be one pit stop, or how is this going to play out? Because with a name like Grip, you kind of expect that the tire wear might come into play.
Yeah, I think the tires are going to be more than anything. I mentioned the fact that with it being a 41 lapper, it's 2X. So I honestly don't remember what the fuel window is actually for these drivers at 2X at a mile-and-a-half racetrack. It might be borderline that they can't make it on fuel, but I'm not 100% certain. It looks like we got drivers now gridding up here. We'll wait till all the official drivers participating in this Open have gridded up before we take you through the lineup. Looks like eyeballing it right now, we may have about 13 drivers here in this Open race, with 3 transferring in at the end.
I love that front row color right there between those two. I love the Havilland. I love the Crown Royal. I mean, it's nice to see the DMAR machine out there with the John Deere colors.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe Mark Paglia's car is a brand new one here tonight. Tim Nofsker, brand new livery as well on the 088. I know what Kyle's favorite is. He mentioned it during the practice session. He's going to be keeping his eyes glued in the 72 car during the course of this Open.
Well, no,
Absolutely.
See, I love Hewlett's car because it's the hard Mountain Dew Zero Sugar. I have not had that. I've not had the privilege to taste that. It's supposed to have some alcohol in it. So I've never had that. I've been looking for it, to be honest with you, so I could try it. But I guarantee you, one of our friends, Cole Deaver, would love that other machine that's right next to him, in the 27, I believe. I think that's the Godzilla machine.
Oh, Andre
Oh
Maj.
yeah,
Oh yeah. Okay.
yeah. Oh
I've
yeah, Cole
never
would
seen
definitely
that
love
livery
that one.
before. Running the Jordan Anderson 27 on the side of that machine as well.
I also really like that 28 car that's on the front row. Like the 72
Yeah,
and the 28 are my two favorite schemes in
I,
this
I,
range.
I love how that's done, Kyle. I mean, I don't know if it was Rodney that did it because it's a Mark Tagley machine, but it looks really good. Like I said, obviously because I'm a Kansas fan, I kind of have some favoritism toward Crown Royal. But yeah,
So
I
it
like the
looks like
Hooters car behind it too, right there. I'm a big fan of that sponsor. So
Greg Palmer in that 22. So it looks like Denny Carroll, Mark Pagley going to be the front row. Richard Martin, Greg Palmer, row 2. Terry Bombard, Tim Nofsker in row 3. Row 4 is Chris Elliott and Andre Mahjong. Row 5, Randy Waugh and Jim
Luigi.
Gloud. I was wondering if you were gonna fill in for Michael on that tonight. And then Doug Hewlick, Chuck McClure, and Kelly Causey gonna be the drivers participating here in this All-Star Open that is green, 41 laps, and the 41 car, apropos, is gonna be the one to lead us into turn 1.
he's the 1 in 41.
The 1 in 41 and 1?
Yeah,
I don't
but
think the Undertaker's streak went up that high.
Kyle, talking about Michael real quick though. Yeah, it goes back to the Zoidberg meme. That's my joke.
When they were doing the charity race here a couple of weeks ago, that started to catch on during that broadcast that you were a part of, Seth. I noticed. So
Yes.
Oh, here comes Novsker. Look at Paglia. He's on the high side. He just got left out to dry. Everyone's driving right underneath him going on by. It looks like that middle to bottom is really favored at this track, Seth. So, with the look at how tight that pushed up and
Palmer's around.
Palmer oversteered that.
Got loose on the exit of turn 2. Caution lights are still green as that car spun down off the racing surface.
Well, what I noticed
maybe cold tires?
Could be, because it's like, well, only the second lap now, so maybe the tires have to get up to temperature and some wear. But Seth, what I was saying was, right when Palmer got into that, I don't know whether it was him backing off playing with the throttle, and it just caught the back end and just spun out, because that's happened to me quite a bit. As far as what I was catching on was the John Deere machine of DMAR. He pushed up real bad in that same lap. And see, there he goes. He's pushing up again. So it seems like they're having a little bit of a tough time holding that bottom right now.
Tim Nofsker right now holding down the 3rd position. That would be the final transfer spot into the All-Star race later on tonight. You're seeing the timing and scoring on your top of your screen right now. That's actually based off of the happy hour results. You'll actually see the correct running order here when it refreshes its next time by. Is now Chris Elliott putting the pressure on Nofsker along with Andre Mahjong. 3-man dance for that final transfer position. And it's so weird because, we're so used to covering Thursday nights, and to see a driver like a Nofsker or a Mark Paglia or a Kelly Causey or a Chuck McClure, or a Greg Palmer, like, we're so used to these guys, more than likely being locked into an all-star race, but that's on the super speedway side that we'll be covering on Thursday night. This is speedway. You have to have a victory or a speedway championship between season 62 to season 64, and these guys are so used to running at Talladega and Burt Screwdriver's Raceway, we don't necessarily think about the fact that they may not necessarily have a victory at a speedway in the last 3 seasons.
But the one thing they do have in common, though, is that they've raced with each other and they have enough respect for each other, so at least that's beneficial.
Oscar looking for second underneath Martin. It's all going on behind Denny Carroll, who's led every lap of this. And talk about some of these cars pushing up and having having a little bit of handling problems here. The only one I've seen that looks pretty stable is the car out in front. And Seth, like you mentioned during the pre-race, that clean air is everything.
Clean air is king, and more so I think as well in this particular physics of the mod, the CTS physics, because in Cup physics you do carry a little bit more speed, the gear ratios are a little bit higher, but when you're in CTS, down this back straightaway specifically, well, it's not really a straightaway, you're still turning left, it's a back curve, I guess we could call it, but the draft, we talk about the draft on Thursday.
Whoa.
That's Paglia. Did he get the wall?
He got right there with Jim Gloud. Made a little bit of contact. I believe it was Cloud.
Oh, yeah,
It was
there's
either
damage
Cloud.
on the right side.
Yeah.
So Paglia not only with damage, but he's going to drop quite a ways back here. And I was going to mention, the draft is prevalent here. The draft is definitely a thing when you're on these straightaways. And it carries you a lot more speed into the corner if you're the car behind.
I think the commentator's curse is definitely a real thing, too. All the paint schemes that we praised right before the race started, looks like they've had some problems here so far.
Well, you noticed that you were talking about the draft, Seth. See, when you get that draft and you get right there on the corner, like you're saying, right on the entry of the turn, having to back off the throttle just a little bit, just a little mistake, a little mistiming in that corner entry, or even the apex part, that pushes that car up even worse. And then you have to try to catch it off of the exit, and then that just completely ruins your next corner.
To your point right there, Demar made a move, looking to the bottom on Denny Carroll, and he lost about a car length and a half by the time they exited out of turn 4. And gonna get down there on the apron, pushes up, opens up the door for Tim Nofsker.
Carroll slammed the door on Martin, and that caused Martin to open up the door for those guys on the bottom.
Look how it stacked the field up now. Andre Mahjong on the bottom. He's going to clip the apron there on the exit of 4. Chris Elliott, Randy Waugh now in this conversation. Terry Bombard closing in as well. Lot of drivers. And again, this is the Hornets' nest. 3rd place on up. Transfers into the All-Star race. You mentioned it, Kyle. You don't have to. It's not a must-win situation. You just have to be on the podium. And these drivers are fighting for that final spot.
Well, whether or not in Denny Carroll's position at this point, I would still like to be up at the front. That way I know that if at the last lap, if I screw something up, at least I got 2nd or 3rd.
Doesn't look like any of these drivers are holding back either. So going back to that question of, what is the fuel window? Would they have to pit on 2X before the conclusion of this race if we went green the entirety? It doesn't look like anybody's saving fuel right now.
Absolutely not. And then you also got to wonder, are they going to have like a random yellow that they're going to throw or not? Because if they don't, Paglia and Palmer have got to be really hoping for something to go on.
It's a great point, and I can confirm there is not going to be a random yellow thrown during the course of this Open. So yeah, in the case of Palmer, who right now scoring has him 19 seconds behind the race leaders, and Mark Paglia, who's still sporting that right side damage, currently about 5.5 seconds behind the leaders. They need a yellow to even have a ghost of a shot of getting back into this thing.
Everybody else, though, this kind of looks like a super speedway in a way. It looks like the top 11 cars all right there in one big pack. I'm sure that'll break up once these guys start making green flag pit stops if we get to that point.
I do want to point out something that you mentioned on one of the other broadcasts, and I cannot believe I was wrong. So you can laugh and parade yourself and feel good about yourself for a moment, Seth. When either Kyle, Michael, or you announced about Chris Elliott's car being the throwback Fritos from years ago, I actually looked at it and said, that's got to be French's. Like, the French product for mayonnaise and all. Because that's exactly what it looked like in the far-off spectator here. I just cannot believe that that's a Fritos machine. We used to see Casey Cage. Remember, Kyle? The old KCK number 9 that he had at that point? All these schemes right here. I don't think there's a bad scheme out here, do you?
No, absolutely not. But to kind of go back to what you were talking about, if you remember when I called out the Frito sponsorship, I kind of called it out with a question mark because I'm so used to seeing the Doritos sponsorship on Chris Elliott on a lot of the broadcasts that we have that he takes part in. So I wasn't 100% certain. I didn't have a clear look on the logo, and I saw the TOS at the end, so I didn't know 100% if it was Fritos or Doritos that he had on that throwback machine.
Saw Doug Hill at the back end kind of bobbling it loose there. He just hit the apron again and almost slid way up. The tire wear is probably really starting to affect him a little bit. So what do you think? Because it looks like there's starting to become a bigger gap from where Terry Bombard is, and I'm hearing a lot more throttle on and off the throttle from a Heulick in these corners, so I'm guessing the tire wear is starting to come into play.
Yeah, we're about nearly 20 laps into this run. You gotta think that a lot of these drivers, maybe from about like 4th back to 9th, being in that draft are really dealing now with that right front tire heat. They're having to coast it further into the corner, having to half throttle it more off the exit of the corner to avoid pushing up into the wall. And look how now the top three have been able to build a bit of a gap. That's about a good, 4-car length gap from Demar back to Andre Majong.
3 wide back here.
Oh yeah, there is Doug Hulick. He's been
Thought
taking a
about it.
peek on Randy
Whoa,
Watt. Last
there's
couple of laps, contact
Oh,
there.
27, narrowly losing it right there. Nice save.
I wonder if he got the apron, because it looked like he may have pushed up, and then Terry tried to cross underneath, and we saw him get the left front down on that white line a little bit earlier on in those set of corners as well. Hulick.
You barely grab that apron, and that's all it takes. And you gotta back off. You gotta make sure you save it, because if you hit the brakes, that back end's gonna kick out no matter what. So, great control by Doug Hulick there.
And when your car is loose like that, too, we talk a lot about that right front. Gotta wonder how much wear there is on the right rear. Just how much stability does the back end of the car getting when you're coming off the corner?
Andre is coming to pit road, by the way.
This could be regularly scheduled.
I did want to ask you something, because I kept seeing Chris Elliott constantly go up to that high side, and whether he was trying something new or whatever, it made me think of the old days between us at Auto Club in Michigan and Kansas and whatnot and stuff. Is there any possibility that running up there is actually helping the tire at all when it comes to a grip track?
The only two things I can think of, yes, I think it could be beneficial. One, you're running an opposite line of the car in front of you, so you got a little bit more clean air to the nose, gives you a little bit more turnability through the center. The other thing here as well is if you kind of coast it in, you can maybe diamond the corner and hope that maybe the car will catch up in that second groove, turn the nose down to give you a straight line exit, specifically off of turn 4. So I think that's maybe kind of what he's looking for, just kind of running where they're not, because if you're running behind them, you're just going to keep having that dirty air and your car is never going to feel any better the longer the run goes on.
72 made a pit stop during that conversation, by the way, as well. So we're going to be seeing pit stops here very shortly. But, well, I mean, I remember we used to run like middle to high, and we would save some tires from time to time. That's what I was just wondering if they were trying to do that. Maybe that's what Chris Elliott was kind of banking on, but I didn't know if you could actually do that at a grip track.
Yeah, I'd say it'd probably be more searching than anything, just trying to find some type of a line to make it feel a little bit more comfortable on the long run, not deal with the push-up with that right front tire heat building up. I believe that both the 27 and the 72 were regularly scheduled pit stops, so maybe that answers our question that absolutely not, of drivers being able to make it the full 41 laps.
I got Terry Bombard looking underneath Martin right there. Boy,
he was.
He was, yeah.
Randy was like,
nope. Randy went all the way to the bottom there just to get that spot.
Now, the white line's a suggestion line. It's not considered out of bounds. You can go down there on the apron on the front straightaway if you so choose. And Randy made it work.
Do I get to go below the yellow line on Thursday?
I said white line here tonight. I didn't say yellow.
I'm colorblind. Leave me alone.
And it's also a double yellow line, so that's double the no-no.
I thought it was double the fun, double the pleasure.
Well,
yes.
If there's pleasure in disqualification, then yes.
Wait, so we're not sponsored by Double Mint Gum then?
No.
Oh, that's sad.
I love that jingle. I'm not going to sing it, though.
Yeah, back in the day, remember when Pablo and Casey Kane and all them in the little room, the break room, and the little vending machine?
Vaguely?
Big Red, Wrigley's Juicy Fruit,
and
all that.
Oh, boy.
Oscar had a look to the inside of Carroll, nearly got into him right there. He went below the apron, as we saw, and lost a lot of ground.
Checked him up, and now here comes Richard Martin and Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
Randy using that second groove there. Getting some nice momentum. Going to get some drafting up from a fellow Dodge.
Yeah, Chris Elliott wanting to go up there, too.
I mean, I don't know if maybe that second groove is starting to come in now with the cars pushing up on the bottom.
That's the only negative to running that bottom. There's only like 2 negatives I see. No, actually maybe 3 is having to check up real quick if you're in a draft. Number 2, having to balance your acceleration based on being on the bottom based on the tire.
That car looked loose. Sorry to cut you off. I thought he was spinning. That was close.
But it was a little bit of a whoa, Chris Elliott. There he
Oh!
goes.
And there goes Martin.
Chris Elliott, Terry
The
Bombard
9, the
collected as well.
That
Caution's
was
going
what
to
I was trying
fly.
to say. That's what I was trying to say right there. Is you're on the bottom, you have to play with the throttle and check up. When you get a huge run, then you got to manage tires because tires wear more on the bottom because you're also turning at the same time, causing a little bit more wear. And you lose a little bit of speed coming off the corners too. So trying not to turn it that hard. I mean, I don't know, Seth. It seems like the best moves you can make are on the bottom, but it also has more of a risky factor than anywhere else on the track, is how I feel.
Yeah,
we saw,
definitely does.
And we
a
saw it
couple.
right there.
We saw a couple of cars pit under green. I would imagine they all lost a lap. Are there any free passes in this race?
Yes, I believe there are 2
Well,
free passes, and so both those cars that you alluded to, the 27 of Andre Mahjong, the 72 of Jim Glaude, should get their laps
hey,
back and be back in the
hey,
lead lap here.
hey, Palmer and Padley are in this again.
Big break for them. Yeah, I was just going to mention that. That's exactly the yellow that they needed. They were able to stay on the lead lap, and now they've got a shot of working their way maybe up into the top 3 as we take another look. And we had already seen the previous lap, Martin get kind of loose there, getting down to that apron. I wonder if it kind of like intimidated him to back off earlier here going into 3, and Elliott was just not ready for that early a lift.
He definitely lifted earlier, that is for sure. And just a big chain reaction deal right there.
It is moderate damage as well. Not sure
You-
just how badly that's going to affect the drivers involved here and how up to speed they will be.
Well, this should be the one and only stop. They're already at lap 30.
Yes.
So.
Fuel will no longer be a concern.
Now, I have a stupid question for you. If we get a caution with 10 to go, wink, wink, we're already there, right? But now, where are we racing to? Are we racing to the completion lap 38? Or is it going to be 39?
That is a very good question.
Because I didn't race,
Well,
obviously, so...
It's interesting because tonight they are trying out for the Speedway side a new EXE that will allow them to be able to
They're
determine
using it?
Yep, the number of caution laps during a caution period. So, everything that we're used to in terms of, predicting 3 laps of caution, 4 laps of caution, it may be a non-factor going forward. We could end up having a yellow come out, say, around lap 38, and they may open pit road one time, go green the following lap, and we could have a 2-lap shootout. So, the answer to your question is, I don't know.
So yeah, that EXE that they're using, I mean, I know they said that I believe it was Josh that was going to talk to Tyler about that, and I guess they had that conversation, didn't they?
Guess so. I believe it's going to be also used potentially
fun.
on Thursday nights as well. And just to clarify here, we showed that pass for the lead of Knopfsker going around Denny Carroll because it was announced on the forum. It was announced in driver's meeting. All cautions are raced back. Denny Carroll, I think, thought it was frozen field, and Knopfsker was able to swing around his outside to lead us back to the caution. And that's why he was first on, first off of pit road and will be in control of this restart.
Now, is it just because of a certain... Did you say that's because of a certain lap we got to that they're racing back, or is it the whole race?
Nope, whole race. Whole race for the Open, whole race for the All-Star race as well.
So I'm going to have to deal with this on Thursday too, huh?
That I don't know.
Why can't you give me any help?
They haven't posted the rules yet for the Super Speedway side.
Now what are we doing?
If I had the info, I would tell you.
Are we doing cheese cone?
Everyone
went to the bottom and Kelly's in the middle. I'm like, are we doing cheese cone?
Well, I believe they're moving low here to let the lap cars get their laps back. I don't believe we are choose coning. I didn't see anything for that in the notes, so I don't think we're doing choose
can you imagine a field where we have people like Tim, we got Chuck, we got Jeremy, Kelly, Palmer, Demar, Seminara, Despirito, Grant, all these guys, right? That we see every freaking Thursday in a choose cone situation with only a handful of laps to go.
That's a lot of black flags to clear.
Yes.
with in-game
I'm
yellows.
I'm just saying, if we didn't have that problem with the black flag, just picture it for a moment
That would
about
be
who would go
interesting.
where,
That would be very interesting. I've seen choose cones at super speedways before, and
Yeah, I have too. We've
it's
been part of
interesting.
it. We've been part of that,
Yep.
and it's been kind of interesting as well. But I'm just saying, with two to go or something like that, like,
Oh,
come on.
gracious.
I'm curious to see how this restart is going to go. Tim Knopfler's going to have control here. He's going to be here as the race leader. That's going to put Denny Carroll on the outside. Curious to see how that 41 car is going to handle being back in traffic if Knopfler is able to clear him.
Well, also Palmer and Padley are back in this now, so.
Mm-hmm.
You've also got Kelly Causey, who's going to restart on the outside of row 2. Doug Hewlick will restart on the inside of row 3. They both started this race towards the tail end of the field
Whoa,
via the
Chuck.
random qualifying draw.
You know, we haven't really talked too much about Chuck McClure back here either today.
Oh, Terry
Someone
got the wall.
wall.
Keep an eye on
I mean-
cold tires as well. We saw Palmer go around in the early going of this race off of turn 2 due to cold
Whoa.
tires.
Oh,
Oh,
there
contact!
There goes Bombard into the wall.
Bombarded the wall.
And that's going to
Perfect.
bring out the yellow. Second time tonight. Going to give us a restart with less than 10 laps to go. Looks like Randy Watt held on to that third spot here behind Carroll and Knopfler. Single car
Honestly-
incident, though.
Honestly, if I'm Knobsker right now, I'm happy. I'm extremely happy. With less than 10 to go, I'm leading. I'm able to dictate where I want to go. If I can get a good jump like he did last time and leave these guys real quickly like that, I'd be more than happy to be where he's at right now.
Well, unfortunately for Terry Bombard, that wreck is going to take him out of the running of transferring into the All-Star race as he's taken his car back behind the wall. Here's a look at it again.
Not sure what happened. I don't know if the 10 came down on a 43 or.
From that angle, it looked like he came down. We'll get a chopper cam and see here. It looked like the 43 pushed up a little, but it looked like he held his line a little more than the 10 did. Here's an aerial view.
Yeah.
Just at that last moment there. Now we talked
You've
about
seen,
the one incident in Park tonight for the Open and the All-Star race. More than likely Terry calling that on himself and hence retiring from the event. Tough break there for Terry because, you know, if this thing had continued to go green to the conclusion, he was hovering just outside of that podium position and might have been able to sneak his way into the top 3, but unfortunately he is officially going to be one of the drivers that will not qualify for the All-Star race now.
You've seen it. Looks like you don't want to be on the outside line at the very beginning of a run and want to restart. So I think that may have had something to do with it too. I think the 10 wanted to get to the bottom as quickly as he could and just misjudged it right there.
Nobody coming to pit road here, at least not for the leaders. Potentially could see the lights go out on the pace car this next time by. A couple of Chevrolets will be on the front row for this upcoming restart. And a Dodge, Chevy, Toyota, the top 5. All drivers that are still in this race are running and on the lead lap. 12 drivers in total. Want to remind everybody. Huh?
Did they queue or they lottoed?
They lottoed for the Open.
Okay. I'm sorry. I was just trying to figure that out real quick.
And we will be, at the conclusion of this race, we'll be dialing up those podium finishers, talking to them about this race, their preparation for the upcoming All-Star race. And then we'll be swapping gears and getting ready for the 67-lap main event later on here tonight. So stay tuned. There's going to be a lot more racing still to go here at Chicagoland. And as I suspected, with them all doubled up, lights are out atop that pace car. So we're going to go back green with 6 laps remaining here in the Open.
So what I was getting at, the reason why I was asking is Andre Marjan back here. I don't know how much damage he actually has, because if you ever remember most of these intermediate tracks that we would go to, he was always kind of a factor. So I'm wondering how fast he could get himself up in position up here with just that handful of laps, because he's at the back here. And you got Chris Elliott, who was pretty much up near the front for a little bit, then he faded back, and then you got Chuck back here too. So it's kind of like really, these guys are back here, and they've been kind of quiet. Chuck has been pretty quiet all race.
We'll see if they have something to say here in the closing stages. Green flag ready to fly once again here. Nofsker, the control car. Bit of a late green there as they had nearly approached the start-finish line. But up through the gears, and look at this. Denny Carroll, to your point, Kyle, did not want to be in that outside line.
No.
Going into turn 1, tucked right in front of Randy Waugh.
Chuck! There's a wreck back here.
McClure around. Might have had contact with the 27.
Yeah. Dude, there was contact. I think
no caution.
I know, I'm surprised by that.
Still green. Look at Kelly Causey trying his fair up on the outside line. Hewlett clips the apron.
Causey got the
wall.
Oh, that's close.
Close call.
Woo.
Now we know why Bucky
Now we know why the Beaver had that expression there on the left rear quarter panel. Hewlett's bumper was getting very close to him.
Well, here's something I wanted to bring up. With a handful of laps, we know that the pass has got to be made on the inside, right? Someone's going to have to do something different.
Yeah.
They're going to have to. And they're not going to like it, but that's the only way to do anything at this point.
Well, everyone's defending the bottom, so maybe you got to do what Kelly's doing here and try your fair on the outside line. Try and catch their right rear, pin them to the bottom, maybe try and get that drive off the corner to make a pass.
Hewlett looking to the inside of Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
Gets that run off of 2.
Can I just kick him one time?
He's our resident Michael Norman, it looks like. Just think, if Randy transfers, we've got another 67 laps of Kyle saying to Luigi.
I can't wait to see Michael say it was copyrighted.
Yep.
Can make infringement.
Look at the defensive line there by the 21 of Randy Waugh going into turn 1.
But you notice that Nofsker, even though he's got the lead, he's still defending it, riding up all the way to the high side, the middle, and the bottom. But Randy Waugh is the only one that anyone's caring about right now. He's the one who's mainly under attack.
You're leading the race. You're leading a race this late. You want to win the thing right there. That's just a racer's mentality right there.
Oh, where are you going to go? Doug Hewlett really wants it bad.
He is wearing out the rearview mirror of Randy Waugh. And Greg Palmer, that caution saved him, and he's got a shot here last minute to snipe a top 3, but he just checked up on the entry to 1.
Whoa. And you remember that's what I said earlier on that bottom, how that works.
Hewlett's there. It's going to be a real shallow entry into 3. Nofsker leads, Denny Carroll second. Right now, they're in transfer spots.
We're going to
follow this if Hewlett can get back to the bumper of Randy Waugh here on the final lap. Carroll might think about taking the spot from Nofsker for the win, but he's in a safe spot, so you don't want to risk losing that transfer position. Hewlett, big run off of 2. Here he comes for the final transfer spot. Dives it down.
I thought he was going to get into him there, but...
Oh, Hewlett's going to make a run for it here.
He's going to have a good run here off the corner. Tries the top. Can't get alongside, and Randy Waugh's going to hang on. What a battle there at the end.
Nofsker won, and now they get together.
And now they, it's like, yeah, I saw what you did there.
Wow. Tooth and nail for the final transfer spot. Randy Waugh will get it. Denny Carroll second, and Tim Nofsker will transfer in as the Open winner.
Talk about exciting finish.
That was just the Open. We've still got the All-Star race coming. That's just the appetizer.
No.
That's just for third.
Yeah.
That's only for third, and you can't do that in the actual All-Star race.
Wow.
Isn't that right, BP? Oh, you can't do that.
Crazy battle there for the final transfer spot.
I thought we were going to see a Chicagoland 2006 finish right there, but...
No, Jimmy, are you sure it was Chicago? Are you sure it wasn't Kansas that you're thinking about with Jimmy Johnson?
No.
Carl Edwards?
No, I'm thinking about Gordon and Kenseth.
Oh. I hate you.
How dare you, reminder of Kenseth getting spun. Nofsker with some burnouts here on the front straightaway.
I do want to point out one thing. Kyle, you come back to racing and you really want to start that mess? You really want to go there? Okay, well, you know what we can do? How about I remind you about Bristol? Where Kenseth wrecked Gordon.
So where Kansas started the whole deal.
Doesn't matter.
Anyway,
Doesn't matter.
I'm
He
just
still
the
got the
referee
wall.
over here.
Yes, you have a Ken, or her being a Kansas fan, me being a Gordon fan. Yeah, this is.
Let's get on something that we all agree on. The fact that we can actually do something and Kyle can only say Randy Waluigi. Okay.
That's right. Which we are going to be treated to another 67 laps of, with
Absolutely.
Randy transferring in along with
I
Denny
don't.
and Tim. We'll be talking
I
with them here
can't.
in just a few moments.
Yeah, I was going to let you know. I can't. I don't think I get permissions to pull anyone up.
Yeah, it's okay. I got them. We'll show the official results here. Top 3 finishers transferring into the All-Star race. Doug Hewlick, what a heck of a fight there, as he will come up just short in 4th. Richard Martin in 5th after having that wreck. A nice comeback for him. Kelly Causey, Mark Paglia, Jim Gloud, Chris Elliott, Greg Palmer, Andre Mahjong, Chuck McClure, who had that spin that didn't bring out a yellow there on that final restart, will finish the last car running, and Terry Bombard did not reach the conclusion. So 4th on down will not be transferring into the All-Star race. The top 3, however, they will. So our first of 2 post-race wind-downs here tonight. And let's dial up the driver that probably has the most worn-out back bumper after what we saw there in the closing stages. Let's dial up the 21 of Randy Waugh.
User was moved to your channel.
Randy, Kyle, Jess, Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
I mean, we knew that in this All-Star Open, 3rd position was probably going to be that most coveted spot in the closing stages. And, man, you had to look maybe more out the rearview mirror than you did out the windshield. Tremendous defensive driving there to hold off the 23.
Yeah, man, he was all over me, and I'm just glad he raced me clean. There's a couple times he probably could have bumped me, but he raced me clean, and I'm happy for that. But yeah, that was intense.
You had a strong car. Lotto Q had you with some pretty good starting track position. You were able to get yourself up into a transfer spot and pretty much held it the entirety of this race. But when you're back in that window as pretty much the last driver locked in, how difficult is that on you? Are you comfortable in that type of a situation, or is there something as a racer where you want to get up there, maybe get that one position, move that buffer line back, give yourself a little bit of breathing space?
Yeah, of course I'd like to win it, but man, I was just glad to be where I was. I wasn't going to try to pass the front 2, but like I said, Doug's giving me a lot of heat, and I was having to fight hard just to keep him from getting by, and I tried to stay low, and I'm telling you, I'm shaking. It was really intense.
Hey, Randy, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So, you've been on the track. You know how it feels. You know what to expect with 41 laps, pretty much, per se. So, you know how hard it was to hold on, and all you were focused on was holding on to 3rd. How does your mentality change going into the All-Star main itself, knowing that, hey, we ain't worried about 3rd, we're not worried about 2nd. You got to win it or you don't.
Yeah, that's exactly. I either win or I don't, and I'm not going to probably push as hard to hold somebody off if they're faster than me. I just want to get into the race because it's an honor to be in this race with all these great drivers in here.
Well, with what we're saying about you're not going to push it as hard, did you see a big issue with tire wear throughout that run before the caution came out?
Yeah, my right front turned yellow, so I was getting ready to pit anyway. I wore mine out a little more because I had to come from 9th spot and work my way up. But I think if you're up front, you can probably save tires pretty good.
How much of an advantage do you feel like you have being in the open going into the main All-Star race now?
I really don't think it's an advantage at all because these other guys in there are really good. Like I said, I'm just glad to be in there with them. I'm going to do my best, of course, and try to get up there, but there's some really good drivers in here.
Well, Randy, congratulations on transferring into the All-Star race. We'll look forward to seeing with what you learned there in the Open, if it can get you a solid run, maybe a checkered flag here tonight in the upcoming All-Star race. And also just to let you know, even though Michael's not in the booth with us here tonight, Kyle's been doing the duties of adding the Luigi to the end of your name every time we say it. So that's still happening here tonight. But congrats.
No, it's Ouija.
Congrats on the great run. We'll let you get back to this this All-Star race in preparation. But before we do, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you for the Luigi. Corey likes to hear that, so he'll enjoy that when he sees it. Yeah, I'll shout out to you guys for televising this. Shout out to RTG. They run a great league over here, and Josh and all those guys. I really like racing here. Shout out to my son Christian, my grandsons Adrian, Asher, and Asa, and of course Corey, best buddy. He watches all these races with me, and just glad to be able to get an interview. I think this is actually the first interview I've ever had at RTG.
It might very well be.
Yeah, I've come close before, but I've never gotten a podium, so I'm glad to get that.
Well, congratulations once again. We'll let you switch your mindset over in preparation for the upcoming 67-lap main event here tonight at Chicagoland. Congratulations on transferring into the All-Star race here tonight, Randy.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Randy
was
had a
moved out
lot
of
of
your
pressure
channel.
on him in the closing stages. Another driver who had the clean air in the early going, but then had to hold down the second position where he finished tonight was Denny Carroll. Let's see if we can get a word with him.
User was moved to your
Hey, Denny,
channel.
it's Kyle, Jess, and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yeah.
Solid race for you here in the All-Star Open. You're now locked into the All-Star race. Never fell out of the top two the entirety of that 41-lapper and led a good portion of the first half of this race under the long green flag run. Car looked pretty sporty out there. Looked like you could run both lanes. What are you feeling like here in preparation for the upcoming main event now?
Rodney painted me a hot rod, didn't he?
Definitely did.
I like this track. You can run the middle and the bottom, but it's a lot faster if you can stay on the bottom.
We ended up seeing you lose the race lead there when the caution came out. Was it just a little miscommunication, not knowing it was race back? And how did that then affect you in terms of knowing that the clean air advantage was gone?
I was pitting.
Oh,
When I was
wow.
slowing down, yeah, when I was slowing down to pit, that's how the 088 got by me. I don't think it could have passed me if we hadn't been pitting, but I don't think I could have passed him either once he got in front of me. Because it's kind of hard to pass the leader because they got fresh air, clean air. But I mean, I was sitting in a good spot to transfer, so I wasn't going to do nothing stupid.
Yeah, we didn't even know that you guys were that close to the fuel wind. We weren't sure what the fuel wind exactly was, so interesting timing of that yellow. You know, a lot of times we'll see in these Speedway All-Star races, drivers that transfer in through the All-Star Open, they've got a little bit of a cheat sheet. They know a little bit more of the conditions of the racetrack, what to kind of expect, especially on the long run. How do you feel that could play to your strengths here now, getting ready for this this All-Star race?
None. It might help me in qualifying if we get to qualify, but other than that, I don't believe it'll be no kind of advantage. These guys over here, they're good.
Well, Denny, congratulations on transferring into the All-Star race, bringing it home in the second position. We'll let you get your mindset swapped over here in preparation for 67 laps tonight at the Chicagoland Speedway. But before we do, we'll give the opportunity here for thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
I'd just like to thank my wife for putting up with me racing. She's a great woman, and my uncle in Florida, and my kin people, and Sean and David Cannon and them for letting me race here. There's a great bunch of guys over here and a lot of talent, and I'm just thankful that they even let me race here. So good luck to everybody in the next one.
Denny Carroll, second place in the All-Star Open, and he's ready to put that Crown Royal Chevrolet on the grid here in preparation for tonight's All-Star race. Congratulations on transferring. Best of luck here in the remainder of the night. And let's see if we can dial up our race winner from the All-Star Open. He'll be going All-Star racing here in just a few moments after he finishes up in Victory Lane, where we'll dial up now Tim Nofsker.
User was moved to your
Hey,
channel.
Tim, Kyle, Jess, Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Sure do. How you all doing?
Well, we're pretty used to having you up here when we talk to you in Victory Lane at a super speedway. Tonight you get it done on the speedway configuration at Chicagoland, and we're not used to seeing drivers like you in a qualifying race because we're so used to seeing what you're able to do when we're at the big super speedways. But here tonight, pretty decent starting track position. You were able to be the control car in the closing stages of this race. Looks like that's a pretty fast 088 machine.
Yeah, occasionally I gotta dust off the Speedway car and the Speedway skills to just so I don't lose it.
Obviously, with the victory here in this all-star race, conditions going to be slightly different, which we'll document in a little bit here for the main event, but we talked already with Randy, we talked with Denny, asked if there might be any feeling of a sense of advantage, having already been out there on the racetrack and kind of knowing what the car and the track are going to do on the short run and on the long run. Do you feel like there's any advantage that you might be able to exploit here, especially with the fact as well that despite the fact that you guys lotto queued in the All-Star Open, you're now going to be able to kind of determine your fate of where you're starting here in the All-Star race grid?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like you go swimming in a pool of sharks, and then you jump out of that pool and jump in with another pool of sharks. I mean, it's just we'll see. I mean, I said, there's guys that run these things week in and week out, and I don't usually have the opportunities, but I'm going to do my best, get out there. I think I picked up a couple surprising things that I might be able to apply, but there's a lot of guys that have turned a lot of laps on this track, so we'll see how it goes.
You had a lot of opportunity to run some laps behind Denny Carroll on that long green flag run. We saw you trying some stuff there as well to close up the gap, maybe set up for a pass. If we go into a long run here, what is the likelihood for a driver that qualifies mid-pack to rear the field to be able to work their way forward, or is track position just going to be that much of a premium?
It's difficult to pass. I felt like I think I could have got around Denny, but I don't want to be the dumb guy that was in a qualifying position and then ends up wrecking the first place guy, so I was cautious, but I felt like I was a bit faster than him toward the end of that tire run. I'd done some tire saving early. It was difficult to get around DMAR. I mean, passing is tough here, so you really got to keep your momentum up and time your passes.
Well, Tim, congratulations on winning the All-Star Open, transferring into tonight's All-Star race. Maybe we'll be talking to you once again in Victory Lane, maybe able to sweep tonight's events here at Chicagoland. We'll let you get back to it here now in preparation for the upcoming All-Star race, but before we do, we'll give you the opportunity for Victory Lane. Thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Yeah, just real quick, I want to thank Bones, Prime, Shaq, who also painted this car, and Jeremy's been doing a lot with the transitioning we've been doing. So, there's so many guys that are really putting in a lot of hours behind the scenes that a lot of guys don't know about. So I want to thank those guys for putting on this race and doing everything to keep this league going. And I'll give a shout out to my admin buddies, Josh and Rodney, on Thursday night. Looking forward to the Speedway All-Star, the Super Speedway All-Star race coming up. And thanks to you guys too for putting this thing on.
That's Tim Nofsker, your winner of the All-Star Open, and he'll look to add an All-Star race victory here tonight as well. Congratulations on the victory, and best of luck in the upcoming main event.
All right, thank you.
User was moved out of your channel.
All right, looks like they are currently in the drivers' meeting here for the All-Star race, and we'll be going through the criteria of how the different drivers that did not transfer in through the All-Star Open, how they qualified into this All-Star race. There's a lot of different criteria going back from the start of Season 62 to the conclusion of the season that just wrapped up Season 64. If you have a win at a Speedway in any one of the series, you're locked in. There's also the champions of the Speedway series. There's the Challenger champions. There's, I believe, as well the Eliminator champions, which I believe that is a underneath championship that runs on the Monday nights for the Bare Bones Racing Series. So a lot of criteria to be able to get into this All-Star race, and we'll be covering that during the course of this one. But want to give everybody a little bit of an idea of what's coming up here in the future, because of course, as Tim alluded to, and we touched on a little bit earlier on as well, we'll be with you guys here with Rolling Thunder Gaming's All-Star race on the Super Speedway side on Thursday night. I believe the times are going to be the same, with the Open being at 8 o'clock, but I'm not 100% certain on that, so stay tuned here. That race will end up getting scheduled more than likely late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning with the official start time. Of course, as well, on Wednesday night, we've got the iRacing side with the Esports Oval League's Grind Cup Series, as they'll be at the Bristol Motor Speedway. But also, we already have announced the fact that we're going to be back for Season 65 for the RTG Talladega Challenge Series. That will be starting back up, I believe, a week from this coming Thursday, but also excited to be able to announce as well that we are going to be bringing you coverage of these next-gen cars every Monday night, as Rolling Thunder Gaming's Bare Bones Racing Series will be broadcasted here on the Flatout Racing Network. Myself and the defending champion, multi-time champion, Sean Prime, going to be bringing you coverage of those races. So we usually only see the super speedways on Thursday night. We're going to get the speedway aspect as well on Monday nights here for the upcoming 65th season.
Well, now that you can breathe for a few seconds.
I came up for air.
Well, I was trying to mention that, yes, we will be more than happy to commentate for you for this race, since you are actually supposed to be locked in, mister.
Yeah, that's so weird.
And number two, I was trying to mention that you're talking about how you guys are doing Monday. I know you stream or do recording on your own personal channel in NSTRA. So is this actually going to be through Flatout or what?
Yeah, this is through Flatout. Monday night's gonna be.
You're not going to be racing. You're not going to be racing at all.
No, I didn't run last season either. I ran seasons 62 and 61 and 62. But most of my Monday nights were really filled up with watching Monday Night Raw. So I didn't actually participate last season or the season prior in Bare Bones. So gonna be in the booth on Monday night, starting here in season 65.
So did you find little Jimmy?
I did not find little Jimmy.
We got a problem, Kyle. He still ain't found little Jimmy.
They might want to ask R-Truth. I'm sure he knows where he is.
He'll probably send out a tweet and give me his locations or something. But speaking, as you mentioned about the fact that I was eligible for this All-Star race, Jess, we're going to get to see you not only joining us in the booth for the All-Star Open on Thursday night, but we're going to see you behind the wheel of the race car as well in the Super Speedway All-Star race.
No. You got that wrong. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there for the Open.
Yep.
Broadcast for the Open. I'm going to get behind. I want to race. And then somewhere between lap 1 and the end of the race, I want to get wrecked. I'll come right back up here. So I was like triple duty.
Don't call your shot that way. We want to see you get to the checkered flag.
Yeah,
But
we hope
Swan Song for the Aero 88 cars as well there for that All-Star race.
Yeah, multiple Swan Songs all around, isn't there?
Yep, true. We know that Thursday nights will be moving over to the NXS 20, the Xfinity cars, starting in season 65. The Aero 88 cars are going to be moving back over to Wednesday nights, which was formerly the Truck Series, the Lightning Truck Series.
And the fact that I'm running a car that I never really planned to run. I mean, I have no problem running the Pontiac, the late 80s one, but you got me running an 82, 83 Pontiac, and I know you're about to say something. You really want to say something. I can hear it in your voice.
Would it have anything to do with the last time you drove an FRN car in an all-star race event?
That was I only did that one time.
I remember one time, and if I recall correctly, there was a
No.
94 catching air through the grass on the entrance to turn 3.
Well, if you remember, the only time I did drive an FRN car in the All-Star race, which was a super speedway race, I actually won segment 2 because I finished in the top 3 behind Bernie Mobbs in segment 1, and in segment 2 I actually won that one. So
Oh, wait, then what race am I thinking of where I remembered you flipping in an FRN car?
every freaking other race that was an FRN car that I ran.
The
That's where
FRN
it is.
curse. We talk about the
Well,
commentator's curse. There's always the
well,
FRN
actually,
curse
no.
too.
The only, for some reason, the only car that seemed to be somewhat happy with me running it, that was an FRN car, was the breast cancer one when it was the pink and the hot pink and the black.
That's
Remember?
right.
That one was actually really nice to me.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's the green. Maybe green's just not aerodynamic or something.
Well, green
Green is not your color.
historically has been bad luck on race cars.
Hey, it makes perfect sense. Disgust.
Okay, well, Kyle, let's debunk that theory because I just saw him pull out onto the racetrack. Wait, where did he go? He was out on the racetrack, and now he's not there. Darn it, my theory!
Your Austin theory?
My Austin theory. I was going to mention about the fact that Grant Wesley, coming into this race, he is not only a 17-time winner going back to the start of season 62.
Whoa, didn't Carol spin out on pit road?
But he also was the winner of the 2023 Speedway All-Star race, and I was going to have Kyle remark on the color of his race car, and he's not on the track now.
Well, also, I do want you to understand something else. And I don't mean to always bring up his name in this perspective, but Malon's a Bobby Labonte fan.
That's true.
Just remember that. And think about how many wins and victories Malon has, let alone the Bobby Labonte machine itself. So
That's a
think
great
about
I was
that.
talking back in like the 60s and 70s. Drivers were very superstitious at that time, and
Okay,
on a race
well, no.
car was just-
I want you to listen to yourself, Kyle. Do you hear yourself? I said the car was between an 81 to an 83. Darrell Waltrip, Mountain Dew. Remember that.
That is true.
Speaking of the 60s.
Well, we're talking about 80s. He's talking about 60s. I think these cars are supposed to be 80s. I'm sorry.
Well, looking at the 62 Spider-Man car there for Ronald Lucet.
Anyway,
Interesting look there.
I'm trying to
you are
find
an
where is he.
interesting look.
There's Andre Charest. I remember back it was a Dover race. That full-time season I ran for Bare Bones. We were at Dover, and Dante was behind Andre. I was behind Dante. Dante was sponsored by Pepsi. I was sponsored by Coke. Dante got around Andre. Andre then threw a block on me and said, "No Coke, just Pepsi."
Wow.
Okay, from what I'm seeing, Seth, I'm on pit road looking because I actually did some practice laps during practice where they set the server back. I really liked the setup. I really enjoyed how it felt. There was no issues with the end of before we left. I think I had about 7 laps projected on fuel. From what I'm seeing this right now, it says 22 projected laps.
Yes,
fuel,
and
so.
that is actually the numbers that I was given as well by the Eye in the Sky for both the Open and the All-Star race, Sean Prime, because this is 3x. We had 2x for the All-Star Open. It is 3x for wear and fuel consumption here for the All-Star race, and he gave the exact same number you just gave, Jess, in terms of 22, depending on where you are in the draft and how hard you are pushing it. So we're looking potentially at a 2-stop race with it being really close on that final stop. That is if we go green the entire race. Cautions will mix things up as well, depending on when they fall.
Well, I'm also double checking everything in detail here. What they're showing is the brake bias is about 72%, so it's a little bit relaxed on it. But they get grill tape up at 50%, which is nice and even all the way around. So it's going to be a really, really, really good race, I would imagine, especially say 3X. Like I said, I got on the track, I did a few laps, and before they kicked it back, I was at 8 going on 7 projected laps left. And at that point, now, whether it was actually 22 laps or actually what I did was like maybe 15 laps or something like that, whatever I did, I can tell you that my tire wear, my left front and my right front, were about 70-75%. So there's that.
Okay. So we heard who was it that said it? Was it Denny or
Randy.
Randy said that his
Randy.
tires right front was yellow?
Randy Waugh said that.
Yeah.
But remember, that was ×2. That
Yeah.
wasn't ×3.
But it's interesting because there's not a whole lot in it in the swap from 2x to 3x then, right? Because Denny said he was coming to pit road, and that was, I believe, at the conclusion of lap 26. Lap 22, what we're being given here with 3x, so this is only about maybe 5 laps difference in putting that up one extra multiplication, at least in terms of fuel, one would assume. Now again, Denny Carroll might have been coming to pit road right when the window opened. We might have seen other drivers go a little bit further on the run before making a green flag pit stop, so there's always that possibility as well.
Well, also remember, they only really had to pit one time.
True.
This right here, they've added 21 extra laps onto it, so it's going to be a lot longer.
Ron Hagelin in the Coca-Cola 111 got the pole position. A lot of ones on that front row.
Yeah,
Jeremy
the
Jeffries
number 1.
going to be there on the outside of the front row. And going back to the green conversation, Kyle, there's Grant Wesley and the
Yes.
color. I mean, it's not all green. It's partially black, but
I think this is funny. I'm watching Jeremy and Ron Hagelin. They both are going left and right with their front.
were they doing a little wheel
Yeah.
conversation there?
It's like,
Boy, the
what?
triple one and the single
Now,
ones is like
I have to ask you, is it true? Do you think that actually wears your tire at all while you're on pit road doing that left and right?
I don't think so.
It's a myth.
It's a myth, but I don't think it's actually a thing.
What were we going to say, Kyle?
so with the triple one and the single ones, kind of like Thursday nights. Anytime we get the 88, the 088, and I think is there
Hey,
another?
The
Yeah,
880.
yeah, the 880. Get them all together. They usually
I have
find
not.
themselves a lot.
I don't really race in this series. If I do, rarely at all. I like, I've already gone through this field one time, and the one car that stands out to me is this 8 machine back here.
Oh, the Krispy Kreme car?
Yeah. It looks a little bit different than normal.
I saw that car a lot when I raced in Bare Bones. Glenn and I always seemed to have the same amount of speed and always ran in the same area of the field around each other. I was telling this to Kyle. Usually, whoever ended up finishing ahead of the other, it
Whoa,
usually
Cy
came
Jones.
down to.
Hold on. Cy
green flag
Jones
pit
has a
stops.
problem back here, I think.
Looks like he's rolling. So we gave the front row. Grant Wesley and Rodney Sullivan's going to be row 2. Dante Ricky, the only Nissan in the field. He'll be alongside of
Show off.
Josh Metallic. What we'll have to speculate what he ate before the race tonight. Denny Carroll, who got second in the All-Star Open, alongside the All-Star Open winner Tim Nosker in row 4. Ronald Lucier and Jeff Supta going to be the completion of the top 10. Then Randy Waugh, who was the final transferee. He'll be alongside Brian Schilling. Might have a restart here. I think somebody blew a gear. Yep, they did.
That's
So
what
they'll
I
give
was
us
saying. Cy Jones had to be Cy.
Yep, so we'll have a little bit of extra time here to go through the lineups. Looks like Andre Charest would end up being in, would that be the 11th spot? Colin Flick would be 12th. No, I think I'm a row off, aren't I? Yeah, Charest would actually be 13th, Colin Flick 14th. Then Glenn Harris 15th, Bob LaChance in 16th, John Godfrey in 17th, and Cy Jones making up the 18-car field here for this all-star race.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you something, Seth. You raced with these guys
Yep.
on Monday night with this mod, right?
Yes, correct.
What do you expect from your own personal feeling of this track? If not this track, a track similar like Kansas, or maybe any other type of grip track that you go to. What do you think you can expect in this? Do you think that they're going to be really aggressive? Do you think they're going to lay back and get all spread out? Do you expect early caution? You reckon there's going to be a lot of movement from the back to the front as quickly as possible? What do you expect?
I think that you're going to see these drivers, at least up at the front, I think you're going to see them go hard, at least in the early couple of laps, but it's impossible to be able to get away from each other. The CTS physics allows a driver that's 3-4 car lengths behind you down a straightaway to close it up to 1.5 car lengths by the time you get to the next corner. It is impossible to get away. So we're going to see pack racing during the course of this one, much like we saw back in the All-Star Open. I think the thing that you'll definitely see as well, as you alluded to, of drivers trying to work their way through the field, I don't think it's going to be the racetrack where you're going to see drivers try to gain the track position. I think it's pit road. I think you're going to see a lot of drivers, if we end up having a long green flag run up to when we reach the window of around a green flag pit stops, I think you're going to see a number of drivers mid-pack try the undercut, because fresh tires on an outlap are going to mean really valuable lap time and track position gained. I think that's really the only best shot you've got with how wadded up things are going to be with the pack racing.
Well, the question I would have is how long will it be?
Say that again?
We're green, by the way.
We are indeed green. You cut out on your question.
Well, I was trying to say, with the idea of them having to pit, like you're saying, you're talking about undercut. If they can manage to figure out how far they can go before their tire fall off happens, they can actually manage to figure out, okay, do I need to come in this lap compared to the other guys? That way, by the time their tires fall off, that it might be somewhat even with the other guys.
Yeah, and it almost makes me wonder too.
Whoa.
While we've got the number 22 given to us as the target lap that these drivers can potentially go, depending on how much they save, I almost wonder as a driver if you're looking at this as a 3-stop race, because if you end up doing the undercut to gain track position, you're off the number of being able to make it on 2 stops. Even on 2 stops, yeah, but even on 2 stops, you're projected 1 lap short of the finish. So I almost wonder if you think about approaching this as a 3-stop race.
I believe these guys are hoping for a caution too. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So with the caution,
I was just about to say, this is all assuming they go green the entire way.
They're all single file all the way back. Like, wow. Someone's going to have to check up in a minute. It's going to be kind of iffy. Brian Schillen way up the high side trying to make something work up there, going side by side with Andre Terrace.
Well, remember, we documented too, back in that All-Star Open, it's a 1 incident and done. So maybe the spreading out here is preservation in the early going, not wanting to have a mistake and have your All-Star race come to a close right out of the gate.
You what you said when I said I'll be back in this booth real quickly.
I don't know if they're gonna have the 1 and done for the All-Star
You're
race.
Opening your mouth. You're
Super
giving them
Speedway
ideas.
side.
Stop giving them ideas.
Well, this is what I'm about to say is racing related. Ryan Blaney's actually at Monday Night Raw tonight.
Is he really?
Yes, he is.
I don't want to talk about Ryan Blaney after what he did to me yesterday.
Does Ryan look more excited to be there than Chase Briscoe did, is the question.
Yes, very well. He just chugged a beer right on camera.
Battle for the lead.
Jeremy Jeffries with the move to the bottom there on Ron Hagel, and Grant Wesley trying to get by. Close. Pushed up there in that inside to middle line through 1 and 2.
Side by side a little bit up there at the front, but I do want to take this moment and take the time, if it's okay with you, Seth, to do something for a second.
Absolutely.
I do want to give a big shout out to Jeff Supta. I mean, Jeremy as well. But Jeff Supta, anytime I would try to race random intermediate tracks or short tracks or road courses in any series between Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday that had nothing to do with Super Speedway series at all, Supta was always nice and kind enough to try to help teach me and show me where I was losing ground, what I might need to do differently. And he would actually get on the track to follow me and then get in front of me and let me follow him and try to tell me where I was screwing up at, where I need to do this or need to do that. And he always kind of made me feel comfortable. So a big shout out to Supta for actually helping out where, when someone needs help, he's actually always a good person to go to.
I'll give a shout out to Supta as well. I end up getting together with a bunch of friends on Friday nights and live stream Fortnite. And late last Friday night, Supta popped up in my Twitch chat and added me as a friend, and we played some rounds. So that was actually pretty cool. I've actually never had that kind of an interaction with Jeff outside of racing related, so that was pretty cool being able to play some Fortnite with him last week.
But, I mean, some of these guys, they're starting to get a little bit racy from what I can see.
Just
from Grant on back. From Grant on back, they're getting a little bit racy, don't you think, Seth?
It's Rodney Sullins trying to make his way by Ron Hagelin for 3rd place.
Schilling's starting to make a move on the outside around Andre Torres here, trying to find something. This is back for the 14th position. And there's a little bit of a gap between these guys in the battle, which is like 12 packed together. So I don't know. Then maybe they're just taking it easy at this point, Seth?
It could be. I think for Ron Hagelin right now, he's just trying to find it back to the bottom. He's kind of getting freight trained there in that second groove, and he'll tuck in front of Tim Nofsker. Josh Metallic in the 39 now. In the seasons that I ran in bare bones, Josh was always in the number 39 Husky machine. It was a Honda, throwing it to the IndyCar driver Marcus Ericsson's machine. I tried to do a little bit of research on this paint scheme, a brand new one that he's debuting here tonight, that number 39 Gulf machine. And I believe, I'm not 100% certain, but I believe this is a throwback to a Le Mans entry in 2019, where a IndyCar driver, I believe the name was Brad Hanley, was a part of it. I'm not 100% certain if that's what this is an identical throwback to or not, but it's the closest thing I could find in terms of the blue and orange Gulf machine.
I mean, given the number font, it does look like a Le Mans style car that would have that kind of font.
Why don't you dial up the dictionary?
Yeah, he would know, wouldn't he? Either him or
Metallic,
McCrory.
One for third here, getting by Sullins. See if Sullins can get he's trying to get to the bottom as quickly as he can. Going to be like the 111 car, kind of got
But
hung out to dry.
But you notice, oh, there goes Oscar for 3 wide. He's gonna want some more, isn't he?
Thought about it.
But if you go back and look at all these guys, right? You see where the battle is. But you go from Godfrey all the way up. I mean, Godfrey is losing touch with Schilling. Schilling's kind of already lost touch with LeChance, trying to get some draft to try to reel him back in. But there's only like a couple of times you see side by side. Now Oscar looking for 3 wide again, goes back to side by side, trying to pass Rodney Sullins. This will be for the 5th position, I believe. But Seth, they're all single file. They're trying to go single file. You can't make up a lot of time doing that when it comes to pit stops.
No, that is true. I mean, again, it kind of goes back to the risk of the undercut. Maybe get that extra lap on fresh tires to be able to jump the driver or drivers in front of you. As top 3 have got themselves single filed out. We mentioned we would talk about
the wall.
Who was that?
Hagelin got a little bit of the wall.
A little high there in turn 4. We mentioned we would talk about some of the criterias of how these drivers lock themselves into this all-star race. And again, a lot of it goes back to the start of season 62 up to the conclusion of season 64. Our race leader Jeremy Jeffries had 9 Speedway victories during the course of that span. He was also the season 63 Lightning Truck Series champion, the Eliminator champion for that series as well. He was the season 63 Bare Bones Racing Series champion that ran with this mod on Monday nights, and then also won the Eliminator championship in season 63 on the Bare Bones side as well. So very comfortable in these race cars, as we can see. He was able to get the race lead from Hagelin and has not given it up since.
Looks like he's got everything covered there.
Just about. Grant Wesley, one of 2 drivers coming into this race that has double-digit Speedway victories. He and Jeff Supta with 17 wins each on Speedways. We mentioned that Grant's the 2023 Speedway All-Star Race winner. He was also the season 62 champion and Eliminator champ for the Lightning Truck Series on Wednesday nights. Of course, we mentioned as well that they're moving back to the Aero 88 cars on Wednesday nights.
Battle for third here. Car I've been watching, Tim Nofsker, the Open winner. Forget where exactly where he qualified for this race, but he's moved all the way up to the 3rd position so far. So, yeah, good run going so far.
I'm noticing this little gap between Randy Waugh, Ron Luzier, and Hagelin. I'm not sure whether they're closing it back up or not, because Ron just had to let off the gas big time off of turn 2, because he was getting ready to a little bit too much speed in there and hit that wall.
Oh no!
There you go.
Nofsker around after contact from Dante Ricky. I think Nofsker was in trouble off of turn 2, and then he threw the block on the 84. They make contact, and our All-Star Open winner goes around bringing out the first caution of this All-Star race, just a few laps away from pit stops.
I feel somewhat responsible for that.
Did the commentator curse strike?
Yeah, I think it might have.
You see this? He doesn't learn. He has not learned yet.
Well, that's okay. I've been doing this for how many years, and I still haven't learned either. Let's go back and take a look. I want to take this all the way back to turn 2, because I saw Nofsker very low on the back straightaway, and I think he nearly lost it off of 2, which might have set this up. Oh!
No, he got the wall.
Yep, he did. And then Dante's got a big run, sends it in, and I couldn't tell. Did the 84 clip the apron there, or no?
Don't think he did, but I'm gonna have to take another look at it to be sure, though.
He definitely wasn't given a whole lot of room there on the entry of the corner.
No.
We know that these cars push up, especially being 17 laps into a run. Let's see if this will be a better angle potentially here. Michael's favorite, TV2.
You see what he does? He's parading Michael, and Michael's not here to enjoy it. That's the only time he gets satisfaction off of it.
Honestly, that looked like just a racing deal to me.
It really did.
Glenn Harris stayed out for some reason.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, there's no bonus points for a lap led in an all-star race, so... I don't know what the strategy would be on that. Here's a look again. Aerial view going into 3, and... I mean, Dante's definitely there. Tim's coming down, so he's definitely running the risk that the 84 is going to get him in the left rear quarter panel.
I think maybe he tried to come down and maybe came down a little bit too much, because when you get a little squirrely or you hit the wall or something, like I've said earlier on in the opens, that you have to readjust to try to hit the next corner correctly, and maybe that's what happened, because he hit the wall off of 2, and he's trying to readjust himself to get ready for the next corner. Maybe he tried to come down a little bit and didn't realize how much he was going to come down that quickly.
Would have had an awkward entry into 3 with being as low as he was in the back straightaway. That's a good point. It looks like more than likely they would have called that racing deal, because I did notice that the 088 was coming back out onto the racetrack, and you can see the 84 is up here restarting in 3rd position. So
yeah, Tim's on pit road right now.
Yeah, good call, I believe, there by the eye in the sky admin. Let both drivers continue on. I don't think really Tim got much damage out of that. It didn't look like that significant a hit, so he might be okay, but certainly lost a ton of track position, as that was a battle gone wrong for 3rd place.
Well, let's see how long the pit stop takes.
Saw the 8 car stay out under that caution, came to pit road.
I think he already...
Right when they got the one to go. Kind of curious. Field mileage call, maybe? You think
Could be. Could very well be.
That's what I was saying. Glenn Harris stayed out that extra lap, and I'm hearing people clutch right now. So.
Yeah, we're about 4 laps shy of when these drivers would have had to make a green flag pit stop.
We're definitely making 3 now.
Yes, exactly.
No matter which way you look at it, we're definitely making 3.
Lights out. So we are going green this time by. Jeremy Jeffries will get us back underway. He's led 14 laps so far here. Grant Wesley will be to his outside. Then Dante Ricky, Josh Metallic, Rodney Sullins. Gonna be your top 5 here for the upcoming restart. All drivers running, all drivers on the lead lap here as we get back racing at Chicagoland.
Watch. We saved 3 times. Grant Wesley doesn't pit.
Speaking of Grant Wesley, he got a really good restart, hung right there with the Jeffries as they go into 1.
I do want to point out, now that you know Novsker's starting in the back, you know he's going to be determined to start moving up immediately, so I expect him to be probably a little more aggressive than what he was originally, trying to get through this field quickly.
We'll keep tabs on him. As look at Grant way up there out of the dark gray. You can see that car get loose. No grip up there, and that's going to lose him momentum. It's going to lose him 2nd to Dante, maybe 3rd to Josh Metallic going into 1.
Oh, well then. I just heard a specific person who we were just talking about, not naming names, ... that was apparently going full throttle, getting a run on people, past a few cars, and every time he's entering the corner, he's clutching.
Andre Charest goes around. Looks like it was a solo spin up there in 3 and 4, and caution's going to wait for the 2nd time in this all-star race.
But like I said, the guy, he was going in the corners clutching. So what does that tell you?
Interesting. The fuel strategy games playing out here in the all-star race. As Jeremy will pick up the pace car here on the back straightaway. I don't know. What do you think? Does everybody come back down pit road? Because this would have been around the time they would have made a green flag pit stop if we hadn't had the 2 yellows?
I'd be
Well,
surprised if they didn't.
Look, if I can tell you this, if I'm halfway back, better yet, I'll just say this: if I'm sitting there, and I know how hard it is for track position, and I'm in Grant Wesley's position right now, back and forth, and these 2 or 3 do not come in, I'm coming in.
We'll see if indeed
There they
anybody
go.
adheres to
Yep.
that strategy.
Grant stays out along with Josh. I think they're wanting to go an extra lap with Pat, probably.
Looking at the replay here, looks like the 7-Eleven and the 75 got together.
7-Elevens do not race, Kyle. They provide gas and food and different
Slurpees.
things.
Well, he provided a little extra gas there for the 75, and
We call that
Are
in the
you saying-
iRacing world gap whack.
Are they giving us entertainment now?
Is there content?
I'm not putting
So that's
blame on anybody
copyrighted.
there. It's just
Seth is copyrighted. He's done.
can't really tell what happened between the two. I just know they got together going into the corner here, and
Yeah, that's gap whack. We can call it hitbox here on the NR side. iRacing doesn't like that, so we call it gap whack, but you could see there was some visible space between the 7-Eleven and the 75, but unfortunately, NR read it as some contact, and Andre Charest got the bad end of it.
wouldn't be a netcode issue, would it?
That's another word that we don't talk about in the iRacing world, but potentially could be that as well.
Well, we got bumper grab, we got lag, we got warp, we got side to side, we got twitching, and my personal favorite, the DJ Curtis theory.
Oh, I was going to say the Dylan Young warp.
No, only DJ Curtis can go through another driver, bump
That
another
is
driver,
true.
wreck that driver, and still end up coming out perfectly fine.
The only time you can see a driver go from 4th to 2nd in
Schilling's
the
coming
span
back
of a
in.
few seconds.
Shilling making a double check on pit road. That's interesting.
Interesting call there. Well, of course,
And
Brian Schilling.
Josh and Grant didn't come in though.
Brian Schilling is the defending winner of the All-Star race. Was a 4-time Speedway winner between seasons 62 to 64.
So Schilling, Tim, and a few other drivers are coming in. That includes the machines of Denny Carroll, Rodney Sullivan. But getting back to this, Josh and Grant stayed out, so that's kind of a shocker. They didn't even come into pit.
They must be of the assumption we're going to have some more yellows. They don't want to give up the track position. They would have only run, what, 1.5, maybe 2 laps of green flag on those tires there. So
Yeah,
I
I
think
do
they're
agree.
of the assumption of keep the track position, maybe have a long enough green flag run here that everybody's just going to come down pit road again, and they can keep their spots up at the front of the field.
Safest place is out front in that clean air.
I agree with that theory, but I'm just saying that, when Grant got that restart on that last one and he was on the high side way up there, how much wear went on his tires?
Yeah, especially with how loose he looked there off of 4. You'd have to
And
think
it's
that would have built
3X.
up some heat there in that right rear tire.
And then he's got the idea that Josh is still on his inside, so he's got to try to get in front of Josh or right behind Josh immediately, otherwise he's going to have that same issue again.
Green flag going to come back out here. Grant with a great launch on that top side. He'll get to the start-finish line ahead of the 39. Now, in NR, you can actually bypass a driver in your row on the outside, and it will not black flag you. So great timing there by Grant to get the lead before they even exit out of turn 2. Josh Metallic was going to mention him coming back here to this green flag as the leader. 9 victories at Speedways here in the last 3 seasons.
Side by side for third there, Jeremy Jeffries is going to hold off Dante Ricky for the time being.
Just want to say in one lap, Oscar went from 15th up to 13th. He's coming.
He's on his way.
He's looking under Glenn Harris right now for 12th, right behind John Godfrey.
Dante Ricky right now in the 4th position. 2 Speedway victories in the last 3 seasons for
Battle
him.
for the
And
lead here.
we talked about Jeff Supta as we move back up to the front. He's now in the 5th position. 17 victories on Speedways during the course of these 3
Josh,
Is he gonna
seasons.
split? Is he going to split the medal?
Woohoo!
Yes, he is. Wow,
Man!
what a move by Jeffries.
What a gutsy move that was, and it's going to at least get him up side by side for the lead. Drops Grant back to side by side with Dante for 3rd, and Grant's car's struggling. He's having a
Good.
tough time holding
Just
even just that
remember
middle
this.
line.
Just remember this. Remember what we said at the end of the race last time? They're all going to hold the bottom. You have
Yes.
to do something differently. Well, we know Jeremy can make the move on the inside, but now we see what he can do on the outside. So they got to be
the
scratching their
middle.
head trying to figure out, like, if he can do it, why can't? What's he doing differently up there that we can't do?
That's a great point.
Look, he gets a little bit of a run right there. Now he's got to back off a little bit because of the height of the corner.
Alongside,
of entry.
Josh
Yeah,
tried
he's still
diamonding
there
it there.
somewhat.
He had a slightly wider entry there. Let it drift up through the center and then tried to clear up on Jeremy coming off of 2. He'll be able to clear him here off of turn 4. Get that clean air again and has him stacked up now for second with Dante to the bottom of Jeremy. Jeff Supta, that orange and yellow number 11 looming there as well.
Close racing here.
Oh boy.
Kyle,
Okay.
you ready to come out of retirement now?
Well, I will here in a couple of weeks, but not at this type. Not this type of racing, though.
A little further back there, pole sitter Ron Hagelin. We saw him get freight trained during that first green flag run. Made a nice recovery, trying to crack back up into the top 5 and 6. Then Randy Waugh, one of our transfer drivers. He's now in the 7th position, highest of our transferees after Nofsker had his problems. Nofsker's been able to, looks like scoring's got him now up to 12th position right now, trying to make his way back forward.
I'm disappointed in Kyle.
I know,
He
he's
said
had,
that
he's had
Luigi
2.
Martin, come
He's
on.
had
He said
2 opportunities here in this
I
All-Star
know.
race.
I know that.
You said it too quickly. Usually give Michael a pause. You did not.
Hey,
giving me that.
hey, if I say it too quickly, Michael will cut in still.
I guess I'm just more polite than Michael.
Cy Jones, as he lost his pack pretty badly back here, he's now coming off of turn 2 while they're already in the middle of the backstretch. So something's off with the 7 unless Cy's just taking his time and enjoying the race. But Denny Carroll, I mean, I kind of expect him to be a little bit more further up there, but he's hanging back here
Oh,
with
boy.
Andre Trest as well.
Like Dante Ricky and Grant Wesley, they got really close right there, and I thought there was going to be some contact, and that allowed the 95 to really close in on them.
Looking at some other drivers here just inside of the top 10. 95 of Colin Flick, the defending Bare Bones Racing Series Challenger champion in that 95. At his inside, you got the KFC Camaro. That's a new livery. I've never seen Bob LaChance in that car before.
It's a
As
good
he's
looking
right
car.
now, absolutely. Colonel Sanders looking, finger-licking good on the side of that machine.
I want to cut you off for a second because I just saw Tim half and half. Basically, what he did is he went on the tri-oval stuff where the start finish line is, and half of his car went on the apron and half of it came back up real quick. You know what I mean? Like half and half. I'm wondering, is there any chance that upsets the car at all regarding getting off the track and back on the track with the tire wear?
Not really. The only thing that it could possibly affect is your entry for turn 1. But other than that, no. The thing of it is, though, as well, going down there's a lot of racetracks. If you cut down there on the apron, it can gain you a 10th or 2. There's not really as much of a benefit at a track like Chicagoland. So the only thing I can think of that he's doing there is seeing if maybe he can generate some kind of a run out of turn 4, get alongside of whoever's in front of him, you know, maybe test the waters in that regard to set up a pass. Other than that, I don't really see a whole lot of benefit to it. We've not really seen hardly anybody else venture down there below the white line.
Yeah, the only other person I thought the venture down there was in the open, that was what, Hewlick, I believe?
Yeah, and that was out of desperation to get around Randy Waugh for the final transfer spot. We documented this 62 of Spider-Man machine of Ronald Lucet, and we ended up having Rodney in our chat earlier on as well, saying that this is a special scheme for Mathis. I'm not certain who Mathis is, but apparently this is a tribute scheme or something here for the Spider-Man Chevrolet, and nice to see it having a solid run inside the top 10 and 9th. Tim Nofsker's now made his way into the top 10. There he is right behind Lucet's Chevy.
It's another good looking car right there. I like the split between the red and the blue. Here in the front and the back there. It's really nice.
I'm not going to lie. There's an offline driver in my series that drives a 62 and is sponsored by Spider-Man. And I had a heart attack moment wondering if one of my offline car TGAs overrode one of the drivers in the field here tonight. Fortunately not, since
Whoa,
that
whoa,
offline
whoa,
driver
see
is a
this? See this at the front?
Mazda. Yes, indeed.
Wow, what happened there between
Jeez.
Jeremy Jeffries and Josh Metallic?
Little IndyCar snake in there. Maybe somebody got the wall like Knofsker did.
Use your DRS.
The push to pass. It's now active.
This was IGP all over again.
But look at this is what I was talking about, though, Jess. Nobody can get away from anybody else. Your top 10, your top 9, 10, they're all nose to tail right now, less than a second separation. With the CTS physics, you cannot have a commanding lead.
But also, we saw Jeremy was able to figure out something on the high side. Now, the question is, did he show his hand too early, number one? And number two, when he was doing that, did he use up all of his stuff?
Right.
Or maybe he's trying to trick Josh, saying, hey, I can go up here. You saw what I could do a moment ago, and watch Josh go up there, and Jeremy fakes him out. Who knows? Because look at that. He keeps going a little bit higher up each time. He needs to be careful and not hit that wall coming up the corner.
Metallic has led the last 14 laps, which means that we are very, very close to the end of a fuel window here. About another 7-8 laps.
17 laps to go.
Yep.
You hear that, Kyle? 17 laps to go.
Mm-hmm.
Good, because I want you to hear the Randy Waluigi stuff when it happens next time. Yeah, I'm noticing that Josh got really. You know, I think it was Jeremy.
Jeffries looking for the lead this time. He's alongside him.
And Josh didn't even try to make an effort to block that one.
He didn't. I wonder if he's saving, maybe? Remember, he's the lead car as well. And with CTS physics, he could be using up more fuel being the lead car. He might actually have dropped back purposely here to save a little bit of fuel.
Jeremy's on the high side of Supta now. Supta's going for the lead.
We had, 4 ones in the front row. Now we've got 6 ones in the top 3.
So who won the race? Number one?
Number 1, 1.
Okay, Seth. It was his race and it was his win. He was number 1.
Well, Smitty's in this race.
He must be.
Wow, Metallic has fallen all the way back behind Lucia and he's burping the throttle in the corners, but I haven't got to see him clutch yet. He's back here with Schilling at this point.
Schilling's on the move.
He may have just got caught on the outside and.
No, he's playing with the throttle a lot more here.
Metallic's dropped back, Knofsker has dropped back, and here
he's
comes
coming
Grant.
in,
They're coming in. Wesley's coming in, Metallic. Ooh, gotta get it low down.
Remember, these guys did not pit either.
Good point. Great point. I'd forgotten about that. Neither Wesley nor Metallic had pit under the last yellow.
Yeah, they were on the front row of the restart, I believe.
Yep, I'd completely forgotten about that.
Really? You forgot all about that?
I did.
I said it several times. Good job, Kyle. How dare you
I'm Dory.
forget?
I have short-term memory loss.
No, I'm talking. I know it's not your fault. It's Kyle's fault. He's the rookie.
I'm
here.
old.
We don't care if you're old. You're a rookie. Deal with it. Proby.
An old rookie. Is that the
Yes.
Dennis Quaid movie?
No, he's the old rookie of the year.
Ronald Lucet dropping back. He got the wall there off of turn 4 on the previous lap.
More pit stops. Sidney Carroll's in. Randy Wall's in.
Luigi.
It's about time.
Took him 45 laps, but we got there. Supta. Some of these drivers, their cars are migrating down to the apron off of 4. Jeffries is in.
Man,
Dante. Woo. You can hot pit here. It's risky, but you can do it here.
Say, we see this all the time during the tally challenge. I don't know if you want to try that or not on an intermediate track, but these guys are.
You can, but it's a lot harder, Kyle.
Not nearly as much runoff for the access onto pit road. We talk about that right front building up tire heat. It makes the car not want to turn when you're hard on the brakes.
Seth, where's the leader at?
Just now coming to pit road. Supta's in, Hagelin, Bob LaChance.
Grant's going into 4. I'm guessing he's about to get a lap back then, I guess at this point.
I believe somebody else stayed out. A couple of cars stayed out still. We're still awaiting Brian Schilling, Ronald Lucet, Rodney Sullins, Tim Knofsker, John Godfrey.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much is going to help Grant because it's real pit at the same time everyone else is pitting. So it may be a couple laps difference, but it's not going to make that much of an issue. I mean, Grant's going to gain some track position back, but because they're all pitting, you know what I mean, right now, I don't expect it to do much difference at this point in time.
Saw Glenn
Well, we
Harris
saw
on pit road.
the
Grant
eight
going on the
car
outside of
was
84.
the 8 car was a bit of an awkward angle there in his pit stall. I think he got in there correctly.
Yeah, they were
though.
still servicing him. Oh, Tim's low here on the back straightaway. Is he out of fuel? Did he go one lap too far? He'll make it to pit road here, but I think he might have run it out of fuel there.
Tim. He was on the apron, hitting the brakes, squealing it and stuff. So that ain't going to be good for a second.
Oh, he's back under power, so he might have clutched it there on the back straightaway. He is currently under
37,
power.
36, 35. He's got to be out.
Yeah, and he's not maintaining pit road speed, so that's going to lose him track position when everything cycles around. Risked it to go one lap further, and this should be the cycle back to the lead here with Grant Wesley. I've been checking,
Well,
making sure everybody got their cars down to pit road speed. I've yet to see anybody get hit with a speeding penalty. It looks like everybody is good at this point in time. But we will have a few drivers off the lead lap once everything cycles around. I believe Cy Jones, Andre Charest. I'm also seeing the 21 of Randy Waugh scored
Luigi.
2 laps down. So he must have had some problem on pit lane.
you hear this? He's finally learning.
He forced his way in.
Yeah, and the fact that Tim and Oscar still made it to pit road, it's going to be a lengthy stop because of the crawl down pit road, so he's going to be hoping for a caution now. But I don't think he's going to get it with all those, 2 laps down now. So
Yeah.
it's
Well,
gonna be
now one
horrible.
lap down after the cycle.
Well, I'm
Talked
looking
about-
about everybody else too.
Talked about, being the first one to pit, taking advantage of that undercut. And that's exactly what happened for Grant Wesley. He's now out
Now,
in front.
if you were to get another caution between now and the end of the race, would you want to come back down the pit road and take some more tires and fuel real quick?
At least right sides, I would think, right? I don't... It would depend on when the caution flew. If the caution came out right now, maybe you'd come down and just take fuel only. But I feel like if we end up getting closer to lap 58, 59, 60, somewhere in that region...
Seth, I don't even think fuel's an issue at this point, is it?
22
22 laps. We got less than 17. We have about less than 17 to go.
No, you would be correct.
I think
Right.
tires
I
are
was
going to be
thinking
a
about
bigger
tires.
deal.
Yeah, I
and
feel like
would you
you're
wanna do
throwing the
that?
race away if you don't come down for tires.
Alright, so let me pick your brain. 10 laps to go or less, what would you do?
10 laps to go or less, I'm taking just rights.
But you would still come down.
I would still come down. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm not staying out on 4 old tires. I'm coming down for at least a little bit of stability on that right side, especially since I know that right front tire heat is going to be built up, cooling down, and I'm going to have absolutely nothing to be able to lean on when I go into turn 1, regardless of which lane I'm restarting in. I want at least right sides.
I think I'd have to pull a Dale Earnhardt. I'm in and I'm not leaving till you give me 4.
So we've got Jeremy Jeffries running 5th, and I noticed that his line in turn 2 is a little bit higher than what these guys are running. Looks like the other line is a little bit higher up for Dante as well, of that corner, compared to where Grant's running. You notice how he's running like a half a lane higher, just a little bit? I mean, he's like peeking out a little bit on
Yeah,
this.
trying to get that arc into the corner. Grant the leader, Dante cycling to 2nd, Metallic a few car lengths back in 3rd as Jeff Supta starts to close up in 4th. Right now, Jeremy Jeffries, the top 5. Going back to your point there, Kyle, of coming down and taking 4 tires, we need to remember this is a non-points all-star race. So while that may be sound strategy for some of these fast cars up here at the front, you know that there'd be a driver back around 6th, 7th, 8th. They'd roll the dice and try and restart up there with 2 tires.
Absolutely, nothing to lose.
Exactly.
Yeah, so.
And just remember, we're talking about this being the All-Stars. There's no points on the line. There's no championship. And there's no reason, hey, we're teammates. I need to help you win. Or, I need to let you buy to get you some extra points, or none of that's a factor. This is just pure bragging rights, or just to go out there and enjoy yourself. If you know that the way you perform is like kind of like maybe 8th, 9th, 10th place, and you're one of those type of drivers who just come out here for fun, that's great. But if you're someone like Jeremy or Grant that's got to win, I mean, you know what I mean? It's just bragging rights at this point.
We saw
Traffic.
Grant Wesley and Josh Metallic pit at the same exact time, and that was a couple of laps before at least the one of Jeremy Jeffries, and we saw Metallic just fall back to 5th right there. So wonder if the tires are already starting to wear on those two.
Yeah, both Supta and Jeremy moving by Metallic, moving to
Unless
3rd and
Jeremy-
4th.
I mean, not Jeremy, but unless Josh is expecting them to really start getting aggressive with each other, because they're going through lap traffic. So.
Being the 21 of Randy Waugh,
Luigi,
going a second lap down there. The only
Did he
thing, we mentioned there's nothing on the line. There is actually one thing on the line for the winner here tonight.
I just
and
said
that is-
bragging rights.
well, not only that, but you actually do get locked into the next Speedway All-Star race as well, which would be at the conclusion of season 67. So,
Nah, these guys have done this before. They can get back in, not a problem.
oh,
he
I
hit
have no
wall.
doubt about that with the number of
21
Speedway
for
wins
wall.
we've got
Oh
between
my
our top 5. Yeah, I think they could easily win their way back in, as I
Oh,
think
boy.
there was maybe some contact
was
there
a-
between Supta and Jeremy.
like a
I
bit
do
of a
know
block there.
I got one for you now. And I'm probably going to get hated for this in multiple ways. Randy Wall,
Luigi.
You know the thing I was thinking of? If
What?
Dante were willing to give up his sponsor and Randy took it on, it'd be Randy Wawa Luigi.
There you go. Wow, that silence.
I was gonna say I could just see Jess slowly shaking her head right now.
Not shaking my head, just rolling my eyes.
Yeah, same thing. 8 laps to go. Throw a blanket over the top 4.
Josh Metallic has lost this group.
Ron Hagelin
but
is
the
back
one-
in the 6th position right now. Brian Schilling trying to reel him in. Denny Carroll, Rodney Sullins, Ronald Doucet right now the top 10.
But the one thing that you've got to admire about these guys is these guys have been around each other so much that even just for one night to be aggressive for bragging rights, to try to screw your teammate or your friend over that you normally would help or they would help you, etc. This is great that they can go out here and enjoy themselves and have fun and turn around and just come back and race the next week and just be okay with each other.
Hey guys, you want me to throw a little spanner into the works? Our Eye in the Sky admin Sean Prime has just informed me the 88 of Grant Wesley cannot make it.
Oh boy.
Some others can, so Grant is hoping and praying for a late
Him and
race yellow here.
Him and Metallic
Well,
got
hold
put on
on.
the same lap. Maybe that's why Metallic is falling way back. Maybe he's just trying to make it
Well,
here.
if that's the case, why is Dante backing off so much too?
Well, maybe he can't. Well, Sean said some can. He didn't say everybody can. It might depend on when Dante came to pit road. I don't know how soon he was on pit lane in relation
Jeremy
to some of the
got a huge
others.
run on Supta here. Jeremy's all over Supta's back bumper. Jeremy's got the run. I don't know what went on with Jab Supta's machine right there, but Jeremy had that freaking huge advantage letting Supta know he's there.
Here's the thing, too. When these drivers came to pit road, we don't have a guarantee that they took on 2 cans of fuel. They may have
There you
just
go.
taken on a can and a half.
Jeremy's gonna get that run. I saw that in turn 1. Jeremy went up high, backed off a little bit earlier than what Supta did. Supta drove away,
Oh!
but he had to back off to hit that mark on the inside lane, and that's all it took for Jeremy to hit the throttle a little earlier to get that run off, and boom.
Supta drifted up, got the wall there off of 4.
I think Jeffries is in the catbird seat right now if the 88 can't make it on fuel. And, you know, Jeffries has been up there this entire race. I think he's in a good spot.
Chat's lighting up. I wonder if Grant might be coming in this time.
Yes,
Yep, there
and
he
Josh
goes.
is too.
Couldn't make it on fuel. Grant Wesley going to have to give up the lead. Maybe the race win. Now it's
I
the
do
1
wanna point
versus
out-
the 11. Supta's back to the bumper of Jeffries.
I do point out one thing real quick. I love Schilling's message that he posts in the chat. Every once in a while he'll do this. stay out of line and work against each other.
Wow. That's...
Dante has gotten back around Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
There we go. A
So
little bit delay there. Come on.
3-car dance maybe here for this race win. 2 laps to go in Chicagoland. Jeremy is looking for his second All-Star Race victory in the last 3 events.
Here comes Grant coming out right below them. So now we gotta also mention this. Grant and Josh being up near the front like they have been, they got fresh tires and everything. Do you think they're gonna be able to run these guys down and maybe play somewhat of a factor with the last few laps to go?
I don't think so because we're on the white flag. Supta gonna look high. Has to try something. He knows Jeremy's gonna block the bottom. Can he arc the corner and get a big run here down the back straightaway?
Supta's gonna try to make a shot for it, that's for sure.
He's closed it up, but I don't know if he's close enough to make a move. He needs Jeremy to make a mistake.
There was a mistake right there, but Supta can't capitalize on it.
Jeremy clips the apron off of 4, but he'll keep Supta at bay, and Jeremy Jeffries will be the winner of the 2025 RTG Speedway All-Star Race.
And he will lock himself into the next one.
Yes, he will. 23 laps, race high here tonight for driver number 1.
Made the most daring move of the entire race, split
Yes,
in the
he
middle
did.
here back on.
Hey, Seth. I got a little factoid for you.
Oh, you got a factoid? What's that?
Yeah. Jeremy Jeffries, the number 1 machine finishes number 1. It was his race, Seth. He was number 1.
So Smitty was behind the wheel of that car, not Jeremy. Got it.
Well, I think we know where Grant's golden horseshoe went.
Yeah, could very well have been. Well, I mentioned about the fact that Jeremy, coming into tonight, he was the champion of the Lightning Truck Series and the Bare Bones Racing Series back in season 63. And he is going to pick up an All-Star Race victory. Actually, correction on my part. I said that it was his second All-Star Race victory in the last 3 seasons. That's incorrect.
Come on. What you want to correct yourself on exactly?
This is his first one.
Okay. Now is that official?
It is official. For some reason, I was giving him Grant's 2023 All-Star Race victory. I don't know why.
Yeah. Grant and Freguesi don't matter. We already know that,
Is
right?
Jeremy out of fuel?
That's what I was wondering. He's getting help there from the 38
He's
of
getting a little
Stallings.
assistance here. I think he might be out of fuel.
You gotta remember, we already mentioned Grant doesn't mean anything. He drives a green car, right, Kyle?
Yeah.
Anyway, but that was a really exciting race. It came down to fuel mileage. As we were talking about, it could come down. That's what you and Kyle were mentioning, and it really did come down to fuel mileage. But it kept us having up on our edge of our seats trying to figure out if it was going to be Jeremy or Jeff. But for quite a while, we were wondering if it was going to be Josh or Grant. And then all of a sudden, pow, things changed so quickly, so fast. We didn't even realize it until you got a little whisper from Sean Prime in your ear, Seth. But I mean, overall, exciting, really exciting open. And then this right here to follow up. And we're not even at the Thursday one where everyone is all equal all the way around. And I mean, this right here is a speedway and it's a grip track, Seth. Where are we going? We're going to go Talladega or BSR? Do we know yet?
That I'm not certain of. I have been looking to try and find out where the venue is going to be. I am not 100% certain
How much you want to bet was going to be BSR the actual where it's going to be Talladega?
They
could do that.
I don't know. Maybe.
They could do that.
They
anyway,
could.
but my point is that you've got certain people that don't like specific tracks and whatnot. So, but I mean, Thursday is going to be really difficult, really a power-hungry game of trying to be patient and make the moon be in the right spot. This right here was a clinic for several drivers, honestly. We had the open, which was a clinic for who we had Denny Carroll, really, who pretty much ran away with it until Tim Nosser got up to him. And then the main event itself was a clinic for Jeremy and Josh and Grant, really. So a lot of unexpected twists and turns in this one.
Yeah, we definitely knew it was going to be a race of track position and unpredictable too, right? Like that call for Grant and Josh, they must have felt there was going to be another yellow before the conclusion after that second caution, and they never got it. But then again, while we were talking about drivers willing to risk on a final pit stop to go with 2 tires rather than 4, on the flip side as well, with really nothing to lose, Grant and Josh, they played the odds that maybe, just maybe, the track position was going to be important and they'd have a yellow save them to keep that track position, and we went green to the finish. Jeremy, Supta, Dante able to make it on fuel to
And
pick up those podium positions.
and you see that, right? You see, are you seeing what I'm seeing here? I hope you're seeing what I'm seeing. Now I know he ended his streak sometime last season, but this is beginning the new season. Look who finished 4th again.
We calling this the streak for Brian again?
Yep. Yeah.
Has it begun?
It's 4 for 4. Look at that.
4th for the 4 car. The defending, the outgoing, I guess we could say, all-star winner on the Speedway side from 2024.
I believe he got a top 5 finish in the last race of the Tally Challenge.
Yes,
too,
he did.
So.
Well, I don't know. I'm looking at the TeamSpeak right now, and Cannon's got Dante at this point in time in the open room, so I don't know what's going on with that.
All right, so we'll leapfrog him here. We'll go down the finisher results here as well. Obviously, in an all-star race, pretty much the position you have to finish is P1. Everything else is basically also ran, but great battles all the way through the field. I mean, we saw some great battling around 5th, 6th, 7th place during the course of this race, as well as up at the front. You ended up having 13 drivers finish on the lead lap. All 18 drivers reached the conclusion of this race. We only saw 2 cautions during the course of this all-star race as well, and 3 drivers lead double-digit laps during the course of this 67-lap main event. I ended up hearing from Sean Prime earlier on this week. He was very excited about this being the racetrack for the All-Star Open and the All-Star Race. It was the first race of the season, last season for the Bare Bones Racing Series. It was the finale for the Lightning Truck Series, and he said that we were going to see some really good racing here tonight, which indeed we did. So we head into our post-race wind down. I believe.
Seth, we can't do that yet. We got to ask.
Okay, the prevalent question, right?
Yeah, we got to ask.
We're in our post-race wind down, but we need to know about the pre-race ritual, right?
Yes, go for it.
All right, Dante, you got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Hi, Seth.
You know what the question's going to be, right? You already know. What was the food of choice before tonight's All-Star Race?
Oh my gosh! Tonight, being in West Virginia, I went to Chick-fil-A.
Oh yes.
Lunch.
Oh yes.
I really ate. And hi, Kyle. I really ate well today. I got the spicy chicken sandwich, a large fry, and 4 chicken strips. And I'll tell you, I had such a headache, and that put my headache away.
No waffle fries?
No. See, that's the problem right there. That's the problem. If you would have had 2 less strips, you would have had 2 extra finishes up there. You would have gained 2 extra spots. You would have won.
It's the strips fault, huh?
I was getting full. I was on the chicken strips, of course. I had 2 bites. I'm like, gotta get more soda. Got some more Dr. Pepper. Ate the 3rd strip. I'm like, oh, Dante, you're almost full, buddy. No, push through it. And sure enough, I got through it. And it was amazing.
Why did he do this? If he had not eaten that full of a meal, he might have had enough to actually go past Supta and Jeremy and win this.
I think it's because he didn't have the waffle fries.
I did have the waffle.
Oh, you did? Okay, good man.
Those chicken strips are hard to resist, so they're so good.
You've got to get it. Sometimes for soccer, our tournament director will order a whole tray of those, a party tray of chicken strips, and we'll munch on them until they're gone.
All right, you're making me hungry. We got to go on to a different topic. Let's talk about your run here tonight.
Oh, yeah.
We ended up seeing, we ended up getting some information. We knew the 88 couldn't make it on fuel, the 39 as well. And we were given the word that some could make it on fuel. We noticed you kind of dropped back there for a brief moment. The 21 was able to get around you. You then were able to power back around. So you must have been close as well yourself. How close was it?
I'll get to the point tonight. I actually was great on fuel. I did not have any issue making it on fuel. The problem was the number of laps I drove behind Grant Wesley burned my tires up. I didn't want to make the move on him too early because if I had taken the lead with 15 to go, I definitely would not have made it because of the lap I pitted. I had 2 goals. Because I had stall number 5, I could slam out of the pit road with no problem. So I did not want to pit on the same lap that Josh Metallic or Rodney Sullins pitted. That's the number 1. Number 2, I thought that Jeff Zupta was in the catbird seat. He pitted a lap later than me and Jeremy. He had better tires. I guess he just didn't end up with the fastest stop, but he drove a heck of a race, man. He was up there to contend, and when he got by me, the concern there at that time was if I could hold the car into the lead draft with the tires, and I just drove the tires too hard. And I want to give a shout out here also. I want to say thanks to Randy Wall for pushing with me there at the end. I know he didn't have to do that, but he gave me some real good draft to help stay and pull back up to Jeremy and Jeff. And Jeremy, he made a nice recovery, and he's the man.
Yeah, we saw you up in the top 5 pretty much the entirety of this race. We actually checked in and saw you had the fastest lap turned here tonight as well at a 30.145, but you talked about the tires. And we knew that was going to be a big issue coming tonight, especially here in this all-star race where the wick was turned up from 2x to 3x. Is there anything on the long run that you personally try to do to be able to keep those tires preserved, or is there really not much you can do when you're in that dirty air?
Well, I'll be very honest tonight, Seth, that when I was in the draft in the long run, my right front tire temperature was reading 250. And that's extreme wear. If you run that type of temperature, you're on the very much the color yellow and almost at the color orange in the tire temperature department there. It's not ideal to save here, and I don't know if there's any differences with the institution of the new EXE and the multiplayer game. Most say no, but I noticed tonight that the cars really felt a little more free at the beginning of a run, and they felt really pushy at the end. It was enjoyable. I really enjoyed this race. It's an all-star race. We got to try out these new things, and you got to race hard. I mean, if somebody gives you a hole, you gotta at least have a chance to take it. And I feel bad that Tim and I got together at the beginning, but I mean, there was such a difference in speed that I had good control at that point. So I just hated that he ended up in the wall.
Well, fast race car here tonight, the only Nissan in the field, and you put it on the podium here this evening. Congratulations on the great run here tonight, Dante. Before we let you go, floor is yours for thank you sponsors and shoutouts.
And I'm sorry if I'm a little tired tonight because I am. But I really want to thank everyone here at RTG, David Cannon, Sean Prime, Jeremy Jeffries, Jason Scheck, Jeff Zupta, Hagelin, myself. I guess I give myself a thank you. I've never done that before. Rodney Sullins, Ron Hagelin, all the team that does a great job and keeping our events together. Mitch and Terry Bombard. It's a really special place, and we're doing a lot of things in a short period of time. Also want to thank my friends and family, mom, dad, brother, and sister, and everyone that I work with and keeps our show rolling here on television with weather. So thank you, everybody.
That's Dante Ricky. Brings it home 3rd place here tonight in the 2025 Speedway All-Star Race. Congratulations once again on a great performance here tonight.
Thanks, Seth, and good race to Jeremy and Jeff. Great job.
And we are going to be dialing them up right now. Let's see if we can get a hold of our 2nd place finisher, Jeff Supta.
User was moved to
Hey,
your
Jeff,
channel.
it's Kyle, Justin, Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. Friday night, we were in a war zone on Fortnite. Tonight, you were in a war zone of your own. The Battle of Tires. And we heard just moments ago here from Dante, you had 1 lap fresher tires than the other 2. We saw you close up the gap there on Jeremy. Did it just get to the point where that 1 lap advantage went away? You just need that clean air to be able to maneuver. What was the mitigating factor? Because we definitely know the draft allowed you to get right up to his back bumper, but what'd you need to be able to put him in your rearview mirror?
I got the right front real hot. It was in the 240s and just about to turn red. So that was the biggest problem I had. I was trying to cool it down, especially following the leaders. I was trying to keep my distance. I didn't want to try to go too hard in the beginning to catch them. I knew they were low on fuel. So I just did the best I could to try to keep the tires down, but Jeremy just did a better job.
You know, we talked about the fact that this is a multi-groove racetrack, but especially as we get longer into run, it makes it difficult to pass. You started this race from the 10th position, didn't have very good starting track position to begin with, and slowly, methodically worked your way through. What were you able to find to be able to set up and complete passes?
Oh, first of all, I smacked the wall on my Q lap.
Oh.
So my whole race from there was trying to catch up. I needed to stay clean till we had the green flag pit stops and just try to nail those, and I ended up doing it.
You know, we talk a lot about hot pitting at the super speedways. We rarely get to see it where you guys hot pit on the speedways, and Jess alluded to the fact it's just so much different when you're doing it at a flatter apron, not as much runoff before you get to that commitment line when you're doing it speedway style. Saw a lot of you guys really hot coming in, able to get it woed down. You guys have got it down to a science, but is there ever a little bit of doubt of possibly making a mistake when it comes to hot pitting at a track like Chicagoland?
Yeah, especially because if you hit the brakes too hard, the rear end might just come around on you. Yeah, I came in straight, and I was locking up coming across that line, and as soon as I saw 45, I was off the brake.
Well, great run for you nonetheless here tonight. Out in front for a few laps. You bring it home in the runner-up position. Able to get that track position back, as you alluded to, that you lost at the initial start. Clean, methodical race to put it on the podium. Jeff, congratulations on the great run. We'll give you the opportunity here now for some thank you sponsors and shoutouts.
Thanks RTG and FRN. Congrats Jeremy for the win. He definitely deserved that. That was a lot of fun. The whole group up front were racing classy and to give a lot of room. So, no, just thankful to be able to do this.
That's Jeff Supta, runner-up here tonight in the 2025 Speedway All-Star Race. Congratulations once again on the great performance.
Thanks.
And let's see if we can now go down to Victory Lane and dial up tonight's race winner, Jeremy Jeffries.
User was moved to your
Hey, Jeremy,
channel.
it's Kyle, Jess, and Seth up here in the FRN booth. You got us?
I got you guys.
Man, great drive out of you here tonight. Some aggressive moves. I mean, I think the highlight of the night for Kyle was that 3-wide move you made shooting up the middle to be able to eventually be alongside for the lead, complete the pass on Metallic, and never looked back, leading a race-high 22 laps here tonight. But you had to hold off some challenges. You had Grant in front of you. You knew he couldn't make it on fuel, but you had Jeff and Dante breathing down your neck. So what was basically the mindset of driver number one there in those final few laps coming to the checkers?
Well, I knew Jeff had pitted a lap after me, and I was kind of questionable on fuel. I wasn't sure. It kept switching between splash and none right at the line, so I thought I was comfortably good, but yeah, as you might have saw my burnout there, I ran out of gas, so I didn't have too much. But yeah, I was mostly just worried that Jeff had the better tires. But apparently, I guess he might have heated his up and just enough to allow me to get around him, because I knew that's where the race for the win was. I knew obviously that Grant wasn't going to make it, and Dante had kind of fallen off there a little bit. I think he might have got his tires a little hot there too. So I was trying to keep Jeff behind me. Had to do a low lining and a little slight gradual blocking there. I don't think it was anything too aggressive, but yeah, that was fun.
We documented on how, like, the top 6, 7, you could throw a blanket over them. Everybody was in close proximity in a large pack, and we obviously had that one final green flag pit stop potentially coming up. We talk all the time in super speedway racing where you drivers will talk about picking up that one extra or two positions before the pit stop and then hoping that can translate to a huge net gain once everything cycles around. Was that something that you drivers utilize here in this type of a speedway race as well, or were the tires just too hot where you were basically just trying to maintain where you were at and then hoping that you could gain a spot on pit road strategy?
It was kind of just given the position you were in. I mean, I think the tires definitely played a factor in that. I was starting to fall back a little bit right before we had the green flag stops there. I was starting to, get a little tight. Tires were heated up, so I was kind of maintaining at that point, and but there's a chance for me to go up there and get a few positions. The closer you can come into that lead, the better chance you got of coming out with the lead. So that's the mindset normally. But yeah, tires did play a factor, most definitely.
Yeah, Jeremy, congratulations on the All-Star win and all, but I have a real serious question here. You made that high side work for quite a couple of laps there. I believe you were against who was it? Was it Grant, Seth, that he was against?
I think it was
at that
Josh.
Point? Grant or Josh, but you were up there and you made a pretty good battle out of that for a couple turns and whatnot. Then you backed off, and all of a sudden you come right back on that high side just slightly. Did you find something there that could actually work, or were you trying to show them that it could work and that you were going to try to fake them to go up there and you were going to like cross over and go to the bottom?
In practice, I ran that middle line, and I tried the high line too. There was nothing there, but I was trying the different lines out, and I felt like that middle line, you didn't heat your tires up as quickly, but it was only good basically on cool, fresh tires. Once the tires got heated up, you couldn't really run it anymore. But it was nice. When I had the fresh tires, I could stick it up there, and I think if I could have had some drafting help, it would have helped. But everybody went to the bottom, and I was like, well, I'll hang on as long as I can, and then eventually that bottom line got pushed by me a little bit, and I found a place to settle in and try to maintain some tires there, some heat.
Well, you pick up the victory here tonight. You're now locked into the 2026 Speedway All-Star Race with your checkered flag here at the Chicagoland Speedway. And as mentioned, had a fast car qualified up on the front row, led 22 laps here tonight, and park it in victory lane at the end of the evening. Congratulations on a job well done here tonight. Jeremy, before we let you get back to your celebrating on your All-Star win, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Of course, thanks to the owners, Bones and Prime, for keeping this place going. Couldn't do it without them. And you guys for broadcasting. Glad to welcome you next week to the Monday Night Barebones series. So in addition to some super speedway racing, we'll be getting some speedway, short track, and possibly some road course racing in there too on the YouTube. So that'll be fun. Can't wait for that. Maybe I'll get more chances to talk to you, because Thursdays have not been too kind to me lately. So I look forward to that.
Horseshoe has been found.
No, I don't know what happened to the horseshoe. Grant must have got it back somehow. But thanks to all the admins here, everybody that helped put this event on and every event throughout the season. I'm just looking forward to season 65 getting kicked off here on Monday, and seeing you all again on Thursday for the Super Speedway All-Star Race.
Well, we're looking forward to that as well. Congratulations on your victory here tonight. Maybe we'll be talking to you with a week sweep maybe on the Speedway and Super Speedway side on Thursday night. But for now, enjoy your victory here tonight in the Speedway All-Star Race.
Most definitely. We'll give it a try Thursday. See you guys then.
Absolutely. That's Jeremy Jeffries' car number 1, finishes P1 here tonight at Chicagoland. And it's kind of funny when you think about it. I had to actually remind myself during this post-race wind down that this was an all-star race. This was a non-points event, because in all honesty, this felt like a regular season points event, really, the way that with the racing that we saw here tonight.
It did. I mean, all the aggressiveness that went into it, all the strategy regarding fuel and mileage and whatnot. That's kind of what we would always expect of point racing, especially if it's a playoff or a championship battle. But Seth, I just thought about something really, really ridiculous with Jeremy.
What's that?
He needs to be sponsored by the Family Circus, and then his name can be Jeffy.
Oh no.
Jeremy Jeffy.
Jeremy Jeffy. Don't let Michael run with that one.
Yeah, really.
But incredible racing here tonight. We saw a little bit of everything, not just in the All-Star race, but that All-Star Open for that final transfer spot. That was a nail-biter right down to the line. But interesting here as well. Interesting, but they kind of gave us the precursor here. When we talked with Denny Carroll and we talked with Randy Waugh, they said, we're just happy that we locked ourselves into the All-Star race, but we're not sure we're going to be able to put up that much of a fight against the Speedway regulars. Denny finished in 9th, 2 laps down for Randy Waugh. We saw the issue there for Tim Nofsker when he spun out, never was able to gain that track position back.
So Nofsker was running well though when that happened.
Yeah, that is true. You kind of look at that type of a situation here. A lot of drivers, they're used to running on Thursday nights. It will be interesting to see here on Monday nights if we start to see some of those names kind of pop in and run some of the speedways, the short tracks, the road courses like Jeremy alluded to, try and get themselves a little bit more efficient on the speedway side, as efficient as they are on Thursday nights on the super speedway side.
And just remember what you're saying here with all these people. I mean, most of these guys that we saw tonight, they're going to be either at the Open or they're actually going to be in the All-Star race at Vega.
Yeah.
So maybe even though this is a different venue, different mod, and maybe different wear settings, it could be ×2 or ×3. We just don't know yet, I guess. But the point is, we already got somewhat of in a way, a preview of what may become on Thursday based on what we just saw.
That's a great point. Of course, we're going to, on Thursday nights, have the All-Star Open and the All-Star Race immediately following that, much like we had here tonight. Again, we don't know the venue, but we do know it will be at Super Speedway. More than likely, it will be either Talladega or Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway, the track that they alternate in the Talladega Challenge Series. But that will be, I'm pretty certain, the same times that we ran here tonight. So expect the All-Star Open, at least tentatively, to be going green with broadcast starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, that'll be bookending the Wednesday night broadcast tomorrow night, or no, I'm sorry, Wednesday night, in 2 nights' time, when we'll be on the iRacing side for the Esports Oval League's Grind Cup Series, as they'll be racing at the last great Coliseum of Bristol Motor Speedway. And of course, we alluded to it here tonight. You heard some of the drivers allude to it as well. Starting next Monday night, we are going to be covering Season 65 of the Barebone Racing Series on Monday nights, and then of course, continuing on Season 65 of our coverage of the Talladega Challenge Series on Thursdays. So, lot coming up here in the next week and a half, kicking off Season 65 here for Rolling Thunder Gaming.
I did also want to point out, and if anyone wants to enjoy the other offsides of silliness, randomness, that you might find with random drivers that maybe here or whatnot, and at the same time, other fun little online series racing. I mean, they can always go into your YouTube channel, Seth. I mean, that's, what is it, an NSCRA 52 or is it NSCRA 50?
It's just NSCRA. Hey, if you want to see Jeff Soup to play Fortnite, you can head on over there and see how good he is. Yeah, I'm a low-level little 130. He's 330, so...
Well, the point is we got not only do we got all that, we got fun little things that happen from what you guys do with your friends, vlogging, etc. But we also have Levi's series that's going to be starting up soon as well. You race a whole bunch of different online series and help admin and help get that stuff together so anyone can go over there and see that and see what's going on as well. I mean, you got plenty going on over there.
A lot of stuff going on over there. Gaming, racing, you name it. A lot of stuff happening, but... man, I'm exhausted after this one, and this wasn't even a points race.
And just remember, Michael wasn't here either. Just FYI, and you're exhausted? Wow.
Yeah, well, I mean, the racing, like when you're watching as a spectator, the adrenaline is still there. And what we saw out of the racing here tonight, close quarter racing, incredible moves, incredible battles down to the end. We knew it was going to be fuel strategy.
Oliver Twist. More. You want more?
I want more, and we got more. But congratulations to Tim Knopfsker. He was the winner of the All-Star Open. Jeremy Jeffries closes out the All-Star race here in the year 2025. On the Speedway side here for Rolling Thunder Gaming, we'll be determining on Thursday night the Super Speedway All-Star Race winner. Hope you guys will join us for that one. Appreciate Jess and Kyle joining me in the booth here tonight. Appreciate all of you tuning into our coverage here this evening. We'll see you either Wednesday night or Thursday night here, as we've still got a lot more action this week on FRN. Hope you will join us, and we'll see you guys next time as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.